Hey everyone, Cozy Azeroth here, and today I'm going to continue work on this retro Dragon Ball Z themed retro fighting game that I'm working on with my friend Dylan up in Ashland. And last time I got a character, a sprite showing on the screen, moving around a grid, snapping into place. Works pretty well. You can control it. So I want to try to do a few things. I want to try to establish some boundaries on the grid so a character can't move off the screen. And I want to try adding another player sprite in, and then I want to try to make sure the sprites cannot occupy the same position. So that's a lot. It doesn't sound like very much, but one step at a time. So I have to remind myself where this program was here. So let's list out. Oh, we're in the wrong. There we go. List. Okay, it was under fight. So change directory to fight. List. And there's our fight program. So load fight. Okay. And so let me show you where we were at last time. We got a sprite on the screen, and we're able to zip around. Boom, boom, boom. And also, I think what I want to try to do, if I have time today, I'm not sure I'll get to it, I want to try to reverse the direction of the sprite. So as we go right, the character should face right. As we go left, the character should face left. And that's probably going to be opposite for player 1 and player 2, so we need to control them separately. So player 1 will start out oriented to the right, player 2 will start out oriented to the left, and then depending on who flips which direction, they need to flip accordingly. Little, yeah, it sounds simple, but it probably is simple, but I'm not sure exactly how we're going to do it yet, so we're going to do one thing at a time here. Let's clear the screen, and let's go to our code here. So let's see what we have so far. We have a grid of 0 through 7 and 0 through 15, so 16 spaces by 8 spaces. Going to take about half the screen. I may increase that at some point, but for now, we're going to leave that in the bottom half of the screen. The entire top half of the screen will just be stats. I might try to create a bigger grid and shrink up the stats a little bit for a little more play area, but we'll see how it goes. So I have some variables for which space in the grid the player 1 and player 0 and player 1 are at. That's right, it's not player 1 and 2, it's player 0 and player 1. Then I've got a function here that updates the grid, basically defines pixel coordinates based on where they are on the grid. Then I've got also in the setup function, the initialization function, that update grid function is called. So those player 1, player 0, and player 1 XY coordinates, pixel coordinates, get values. And then in the update function, all I have right now is I'm looking for button presses. If the button is left, then the player goes left, button is right, player goes right, so on and so forth. So we're going to spend a lot of time working on this update function so we can establish some boundaries here. Then we've got the draw function. It basically just clears the screen and draws the sprite onto the screen. That's all we have so far. So let's see how we're going to approach this. The first thing I want to do is establish some boundaries on this grid, and so I'm going to need to add some conditions here. So it's not just if the button is pressed. So like if the left button is pressed and the player is not already against the left side of the screen. So I need to figure out, because I'm new to this language, Lua. It's pretty simple, but I'm not familiar with it. What I'm going to do is just go back to my cheat sheet here, actually this nerdy guide, and see if I can figure out. So we need some operators here. What's the AND operator? Is it just AND, or is it a... let's see here. So is there AND? No commands. Command line. Math. Okay, I don't see anything helpful there. Let's go to the PICO-8 manual. Just want to figure out how to do some Boolean operators here. Let's check Boolean. Okay, let's try operators. Let's see it in the manual. Let's look at the cheat sheet. Operators. Ah, it's A and D. Boom. And. Piece of cake. Make sure it wasn't an ampersand or anything like that. Okay. So let's see. Let's put some boundaries on this. And so I want to make sure they're not already in the left-hand spot. So we said it was 0 through 7. And player 0 x is greater than 0. I think that's right. If the button left button is pressed and the player 0x, that's the grid space, is greater than 0. Because if it's greater than 0, if it's not in the 0 position, but if it's in the 1 position, we want it to go left. If it's 0, we want it to stay put. So let's test this and see how we do. Run. Okay, so we're moving. Oh, boom, we got it. Like, we can't, I'm hitting the left button, we can't go left. It's at the edge of the screen. Of course, this is a square screen, not the edge of my screen, but the edge of the 128 by 128 screen. Okay, so we just need to basically repeat that formula for the other 3 positions. Sounds good. Let's go back. All right, that's very good sign that we got that working so quickly. And let's see, this is player 0 x. This would be if it's, that's where I got to be careful, less than, I'm sorry, if it's less than 8, no, less than 7, because 7 is the rightmost position, not 8. Got to remember that, 0 through 7, not 1 through 8. So if the x position is less than 7 over on the right side of the screen, then it will go right to 7. If it's equal to 7, if they're already there, boom, nothing's going to happen. All right, so that should do the trick. So we shouldn't be able to run off the right side of the screen now. So we'll clear the screen. We're going to type run, and oop, uh-oh, what happened here? Okay, I messed something up. What did I do wrong here? All right, see, this is what's fun about coding. What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong here? Why is that not working? Okay, let me think. The right button pressed and player 0 x is less than 7. Oh, I think what the problem is, there's a problem that I'm updating the grid value. Okay, I actually want to, let's erase what I just did here. So I had the first part working. What happened here? Run. Okay, what's interesting here is we're not actually, I notice we're actually not zooming in the grid. We're moving, I think we don't just want to update the Y value, we want to update the grid value. That makes sense. We don't, the problem is we want to snap into the grid. We don't want to do pixel by pixel. So I think what happened here is I hope I don't mess this up. Thankfully, I'm not so far in that I can't backtrack here. We don't want to just update the grid value. We want to update the pixel value. We want to update the grid. Or do we? Although we could abandon the concept of a grid altogether. I'm seeing if Dylan has read my message here. Let me know when you're in the... Oh, I already have a question for him. Boom. I already have a question for you. Because as it stands right now, well, that's okay. I'm running the update grid function though, so it doesn't redraw the sprite. So it must be me. It is zooming around the grid. Hmm. Just thinking, because if the players are snapping to a grid, it'd be very easy to avoid players being in the same spot. If they're not in a grid, they're just moving around the screen a little more fluidly, pixel by pixel. It might be harder to gauge collisions and fight mechanics and whatnot. I like the way the players are moving now, though. I think they are moving around the grid. That's right, because I'm redrawing them based on multiples of the grid. Okay. So why isn't this working? So and player 0x is less than 7. Okay. So when. But why isn't it? It's so weird. It's obviously a problem here. I just don't know what it is. It must have to do with... Hmm. So I think what we want to do, we don't want to define this in terms of the grid or the pixels. We want to define it in terms of the player 0x. This should be player 0x. And this should be player 0 x. Let's try that. Run. Okay, now nothing's happening. What did I screw up? Screwed something up. Oh, yeah, I do want it to be grid. Hello. I had it backwards. That's part of the problem here. Okay, player... what do we call it? Player 0 grid x. Player 0 grid x. Had it backwards. Thinking about 5 things at once while I'm doing this. Grid x equals player 0 grid x. Player 0 grid x. Grid x. Okay. Run. Okay, why is it doing that? Oh, that's right. Not 7. Because we have 15 spaces, or 16 spaces across, so this would be 15. Yeah, okay. Run. Now we should get to the right side of the screen, left side of the screen. Boom. Okay, got it. That problem solved. Boom. Alright, we just need to put an upper limit on here. Okay, same thing here. And player 0 grid y is, let's see, this would be going up. If it is less than greater than 0, that should get us to halfway up the screen, I think. Yes. Okay, boom. Okay, so Okay, we're off to the races now. And player 0 grid y is less than 7. Okay, run. Alright, now we should be able to, I'm in the middle of the screen and I'm heading to the left and I can't go off the screen. I get stuck on the left side. Of course, this is an invisible square box here. On the right side, run into a barrier, go up, run up, go up about halfway to the top of the screen. So far, so good. And we can't go off the screen at the bottom. Beautiful. Check it out. Hey, my love. My love. Check it out. I can't go off the screen.
Good.
Boom, boom, boom.
Nice.
And then it's only going to be able to go to the top of the middle half of the screen. So there we go. Got it. Got that working. All right. So now we need to add in another sprite. Let's save our work before I forget. Save fight. Yes. Overwrite it. Boom. Okay. Let's go to the sprite maker. Let's get 2 sprites going at once now. And I'll have to work on the control scheme for the second one. Let's pull up our game design document. Again, Dylan sent over better sprites, and that's okay. I'm just using placeholders now. Let's do this guy, Piccolo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How about Gohan? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, now I know he sent over better sprites, but that's okay. But this guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, let's go with that one. Okay, sprite 2. That's sprite 0. Let's just go with sprite 17. That way we can keep 2 through whatever for the different animations for this one. Okay. Let's draw the sucker. I'm actually going to pull up, I think Dylan had sent along paint by number versions of these characters. Got to look back on our text message thread here. Haven't saved them to the design document yet. Yeah, here we go. Let's go with Piccolo. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that's perfect. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. Okay. I know you guys can't see what I'm seeing right now, but that's okay. I'm just going to draw this real quick. So I'm going to draw it facing to the right. And then in the code, we'll change it so it starts out flipped. But we're going to worry about that here in a little bit. Okay, so let's start out with... Let's see, we are 3 spaces over, so right... Oop, no, that one. And right there. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah, 0. 6, 7. Boom, 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 and boom. Number 2. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So let's go there and there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Skip that one. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 0 and 0. And number 7, which is white, will go here and 1, 2, boom, 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 boom. And then 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait a minute. Oh, I see what I did wrong. 1, 2, boom, boom, white there, and black there, and like so. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's call that sprite number 2. I think maybe Dylan message. Let's see. Send me a link. Yes, I can do that. Discord. Alright, so far we have 2 sprites. Looking pretty good. I'll wait for Dylan to join so I can show him the progress so far. Hey, Dylan.
Hey, Zach.
Hey, how's it going?
Sorry, I'm just outside. It was a little dark and hard to see my phone
That's
screen. I was
okay.
trying to find,
You
struggling.
you
I was like,
are live on Twitch with me.
perfect.
So,
Hello, Twitch.
are you watching the Twitch stream right now?
I am not. I just joined the Discord.
Yeah, if you want, I can share my screen in Discord as well, so you can actually follow along right in Discord, or you can just join
Oh,
on
sure.
Twitch, whatever's easiest for you. Let me do that as well.
Um,
I'll share my screen on
yeah, if
Discord.
I join Twitch, if you sent me the link, that would be easier, but I haven't made a Twitch account yet still. So I probably need to make a Twitch account.
Yeah, it's
I was
okay.
having troubles with it last time, so maybe if
I'll,
I could stay on Discord, that would be
yeah,
simpler for me. If
I'll just
that's
share the screen
easy.
on Discord. Let's see,
Perfect.
screen.
Yeah, I'll get
Let's
my
go
Discord created. Potentially even today after this, just so I have it done.
Okay, so you should be able to
Watch stream.
join the stream. Yep, you should be able to watch my screen.
There we go. Yep, I can see it. Perfect.
Okay, so what I've done so far, I'm only just getting started, and I don't have a ton of time to work on this today, but I want to accomplish a couple
Cool.
things. If you remember last time, the one sprite was flying off the screen. If I went too far left, it just flew off the screen and kept going invisibly.
Yeah.
Same thing to the right. So I wanted to establish some boundaries on where that first character could go. So now,
Perfect.
and I might change how big this grid is. But if you remember, we said the bottom half of the screen is going to be the game. So I'm starting out kind of in the middle here, and if I click
Yeah.
left, boom, I'm hitting left, and I can't go. And remember,
Oh,
there's
perfect.
like an invisible. It's 128 by 128 square. So even though my
Yeah.
screen is rectangular, there's really an invisible square in the middle of the screen. So I run against the left side boundary, and I can't go off the screen. Right side boundary, can't go off the screen. Go down, can't go off the screen, and then going up, end up stuck halfway up the screen because there's
Oh.
going to be the display up top.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because we said
Where
we're
all
going to have the
the
stats and life
gauges.
info and the gauges, exactly. So that is all I've done so far, but I got it working. And I can show you the code if you're curious how it works.
Yeah.
So let me just talk you through what I have so far, because you seem genuinely curious about the coding part.
Yeah.
So
And I watched the first video and I did understand for the majority what you were doing. I just
yeah.
don't, you have to figure out what the formulas are.
Which was
That's the part
all,
that I don't have.
and that's the part that's the longest, because you sit here and go, okay, let me think through the formula, and then you go, let me try it, and then, oh crap, I didn't think through it right. It didn't work.
Yeah.
So let me try that again, which I already did a couple iterations of here. So I started out by saying there's going to be basically, we're calling it an invisible grid. And so horizontally, it's going to be 0 through 15, and vertically, it's going to be 0 through 7, which is like 1 through 16 and 1 through 8. But by convention, the first grid space is 0 in programming. Any item in a list is position 0. So it's 0 through 15 across and 0 through 7 down. So in other words, 16 by 8. So I started out by defining these variables. Player 0, grid X, is going to
Okay.
start out on the as 0, so it's going to start on the left side of the screen. And again, it's not player 1 and 2, it's player 0 and 1, counterintuitively. And then player 0, grid Y, it's going to start out on the 7th position, which would be the bottom left part of the screen. And I would say player 1, which is actually the second player, is going to start out on the bottom right of the screen. The grid X is going to be 15, the rightmost position, and same thing, bottom of the screen. So the two players, and this is just so I have a starting point. We can change this whenever. Two players are going to start
Yeah.
at the bottom left and right of the screen, respectively. I haven't added
Perfect.
a second player into the screen yet. But then I need to
Okay.
translate it into real coordinates, x, y pixel coordinates, 128 by 128. So if you remember in the last stream, I basically spent a lot of time talking through how this is going to work. Player 0x and player 0y are going to be the real coordinates, and I figured out 8 times the grid position, and then 64 plus 8 times the grid position for the y position. That's what gets me to the real pixels on the screen. So I defined that function. So every time this function is runs, it's going to rerun this little function, and then I have to actually run the function to give those values some the new variables some
Yeah.
values. Which is part of the trouble I ran into last time. I forgot to actually call the function. I'm like, why in the hell isn't it moving?
Yeah.
So now what I did, I added a new condition in this if statement. Remember, I originally had if the button is left, then basically
Yeah.
change the grid position. So all I did here, and I spent the last 10 or 15 minutes trying to figure this out, was go, okay, if the left button is pressed and the grid position is greater than 0, then move left. So if it's not greater than 0, in other words, if it's already at position 0, then don't do anything.
Ah.
And same thing,
That.
if the right button is pressed
Okay.
and the X position is less than 15, then increment it. Add 1 to it, and if it's already at position 15, do nothing.
Perfect.
Same thing with the X and Y. Boom, or the Y
That's pretty
coordinates.
cool.
Yeah, piece of cake.
Yeah.
And so then all it does is all the drawing function does is clear the screen and redraw the position of the sprite. So I was literally
Okay.
I was starting to add a second sprite now.
Awesome.
What do you think? You like it?
Yeah, I love it. I was almost I was spitballing with the idea of making the lower hands darker, like shadowing,
Oh, like
and to kind of give separation from the face,
yeah.
like that darker green.
So like right here.
Uh, Down to the left one, down diagonal left, and then the other hand.
Oh, these are the
Yeah,
hands right
that's
here.
right. Yeah, those two. Yeah.
There you go.
I don't know if that looks as good. I can't tell,
Your call.
but it gives
You see how
separation
easy it
from
is
the
to
face
change
a little
these.
bit. Yeah,
I
exactly.
think at this point I'm not worried about it too much because all I'm doing is getting placeholder sprites, and I want to get the movement down right, and then we can refine the sprites to the point where you can, because what we want to do is get the base sprite figured out, so then you can add the kicking version and the punching version in a way that all looks good. But right
Exactly.
now I just need a sprite to mess with. So
Yeah, this is perfect.
so I want to do two things now, and I hope I get this far. I want to get the second sprite on the screen, and I need to figure out which buttons can be used for detecting, for controlling the two players. So right now I'm still working with keyboard. I haven't added any joystick control or controller controls yet. One thing at a
Okay.
time. And then I want to be able to
Yeah.
basically dual hand to get the two characters moving around together. I want to, same thing, add boundaries on the second one so it doesn't fly off the screen. I want to try to avoid collisions with each other.
Okay.
So they can occupy the same position on the screen.
Yeah.
Which means I basically just need to add another condition to that big if then statement. I need to say, say you're one of the players and you're moving left. You need to go, okay, if you're not already at the leftmost position and the other player isn't right next to you in some way,
Yeah.
then do whatever.
Then go there.
Right, exactly. And if they are right next to each other, it needs to serve as like a brick wall.
Yeah. Then you can't move.
Exactly. And I thought I
You
had a
stop.
question in terms of not using the grid but using real coordinates. But as I played it, the more I realized it's the reason I thought I was avoiding the grid was that it's just moving so fast that it kind of looks like it's going pixel by pixel, but it's actually snapping
Yeah.
to the grid position. So I had a question, but it turns out to be a non-question. I already talked myself into the answer to. So you can
Perfect.
watch me do this if you want. Let's see. What do I need to do? Let me think here now. Oh goodness, let me think. I guess the question I have is whether I need to call this update grid function twice. Once after I run this code, once after I run the next code, or whether I can do these button calculations first and then do the update grid values at one time. I'm not sure. I may have to just try it and see which way feels better. So in any case, let's just add some lines here. I wish the text in this environment was a little smaller because it's really hard to get a good look at the entire batch of code at once. I'm used to, even though I used to code this way when I was younger in old computer systems, it's been a long time since I've really spent any time coding in an old computer system, and I got used to modern coding environments where you make the text really small and you can see all the code at once.
Yeah.
So let's.
Yeah. There's no way to like zoom out or make it smaller at this. Oh, with the Pico-8.
No, there's not,
Doesn't see the
unfortunately. Yeah,
sides.
it's designed to be like a
Okay.
super retro old system. This is what
Yeah.
programming was like
I love the look.
in the early
Got a
'80s.
great aesthetic to it.
So let's do the
Yeah.
same kind of thing. Actually, one thing I need to do before I do that, I need to look at how the environment handles inputs. And I want to go to this guide here. Button. I'm learning this language as I go. So, what are the options here for buttons? Okay, so so you can actually use the same, you can add a player number to the button control. So if you have two controllers,
Oh.
one of them will be player 0 and one will be player 1. And then so you just say the button number, comma, the player number.
Button 1 or button
Right.
0, button.
Multiplayer games, button number, player number. Yeah, see, this is what's kind of weird if you look at the screen here. In the player count, so if player 1 is actually index number 0, player 2 is index number 1. Super annoying. But I don't see it because what I was hoping was to be able to dual control on my keyboard. So like I could use W, A, S, and D for one player, and then use the arrow keys for the other player. But it just may not work that way in Pico-8. I might have to invest in a couple controllers.
Yeah, to be able to play 2-player.
Yeah. Manual. Okay, player 1 default keys. Okay. Keys. Okay, yeah, there are some default keys. Player 1 default keys, cursors.
Yeah.
What does cursors mean? Like the
Is
arrow
it the
keys?
1, 2, 3, or the arrows? I mean,
Unless
not 1, 2, 3.
plus
I just counted
ZX,
the arrows.
NM, and
Up,
CV.
down, left, right. Yeah,
I don't know what the ZX plus ZX,
same.
NM,
And
and
CV.
CV.
Yeah, that
Okay, I have
part.
no idea what
A
that's
little
for.
less. Maybe.
You can actually change the default key configuration.
Is it spelled out a little bit more somewhere else in this document?
Probably
Or
not.
whatever this is.
It's pretty good documentation, but it's it glosses over some things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it looks like SD. So yeah,
Mm,
counterintuitively, I'm used to WAS and D, but it might default to E, S, D, and F, which is fine. It's just got a grid. Oops. Let's try that. Okay, so actually it's. I hate to mess up what I already have here, but it's 0, 1, 2, and 3. And let's go to my. I feel like I'm moving at a snail's pace here because everything I'm checking myself and checking the documentation, make sure I'm not going to mess up what I've already done. So it's really slow going for
I
now.
think that's the appropriate pace.
I feel like I should be smarter at this.
No, no, this is how you build it every single day.
So let's go to
Yeah,
the
projects like this, you're gonna build quite the bank of knowledge.
button. Okay. So left is 0. All right, so I think what we're going to do is actually change this. I can always redo this. So it's left, right, up, and down. Okay, 0. And, oops. Right is number 1. Just checking at every step. Up is number 2. Okay, this is perfect. And 3. Okay, let me see if this still works.
Yeah.
And it does, okay.
Oh,
And that's
nice.
exactly as expected. I'm using the arrow keys.
Perfect.
Let's go over here to this manual. Okay, that's perfect because that's player 1 was the default, the cursors. Now let's try if we can get. So we know what we need to do, I think. What we need to do is add player the index. So player 1 is actually going to be index 0 according to the thing we just saw. So what I want to do, I think what we do is add 0, add comma 0 to each of these, and that'll say make it player 1. So for right now, this should say if I'm using the player, if those button numbers are pressed with the player 0 controls, which should be the number key. So it should still work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's try it. And it does. Perfect.
Yay!
So now let's do the same thing with we need to draw the other sprite. We've already
That's
got it.
making your right hand is now controlling player 1, but player 1
Yeah.
is coming up
So
on the left
I'll
side
probably
of the
switch them,
screen.
but let's just get them
Yeah,
working, and then I can
I
switch
just
them.
thought of that. Perfect. Yeah, I just
So
realized
let's
that.
draw both sprites on the screen, and the new sprite is sprite 17. So SPR
Cool.
17, and we're going to draw it at player 1x and player 1y. So this should give us both sprites on the screen, only one of which is working right now because we haven't added any control mechanism. But there it is. Boom. And we haven't worried about flipping them yet.
Nice.
It does have a function to flip the sprites, so what I'm probably going to do is just define the sprites all facing one way, and then in the code I'm going to basically say, I'm going to give them some values, initial values, like initially player 0 is facing right, and player 1 is facing left, reversed, flipped. And then depending on which direction you go, do the opposite. But I just have to write some code for that.
Perfect.
Rather than having separate sprites for right and left, there's already a function to flip them
Okay.
horizontally.
Perfect. I was hoping so because yeah, found there's a lot of sprites to create.
Well, yeah, you can see, and we only have this many spaces for sprites.
Mm-hmm.
So 128 of them,
Oh,
so they'll
okay.
fill up quickly.
Yeah, they will.
I really like this environment so far. The only pain point is this chunky text that's hard to read on
Mm-hmm.
So let's
Yeah, you can't
so
zoom out and
I
see
want
it all.
to look at how to add comments because I want to start adding comments so I can keep track of what I'm doing. Okay, yeah, just 2 hyphens gives you a comment. So let's start adding some comments here so we keep track of what we're doing. So this is going to be move player 0.
I see.
And we're going to add a new comment here. Move
Uh-huh.
player, and this hello, I know what I did there.
Oh, that's cool.
Move player 1.
Fun.
And comments are just ignored. They're literally just comments.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
someone in Twitch asks, "What is this?" Well, my friend Dylan, who's on the audio with me, and I are working on developing
Hi.
just for fun, passion project, not to sell. Very important because we don't own Dragon Ball Z. A retro Dragon Ball Z themed fighting game. So we're doing some coding of this game in this environment called PICO-8. PICO-8 is like a retro game development platform / virtual console, like a retro console that never really existed, but you can still develop things for it, share your projects on websites or whatnot. So we're just, right now, all we're doing is getting 2 sprites on the screen, trying to get them moving. And here are our 2 sprites. Boom, there's 1 and 2.
Piccolo.
And what are the names?
Piccolo. Well, this one's Frieza, and this one's
Frieza
Piccolo.
and Piccolo. I haven't acclimated to the Dragon Ball Z lingo yet.
Cool.
So we've got 1 player moving. So if we run it, just to demonstrate, since we have someone tuning in here, we can move 1 sprite around, and the other sprite doesn't do anything yet. And we have it so it's not crashing off the screen. All right, let's do it. So,
yeah, that speed is great. I love that speed on it.
So basically, we just need to repeat what we did above, but
Yeah,
player 1
but
instead
with
of player 0.
1
And we're just going to go really
perfect.
slow.
Can you
So
copy and paste? Or,
yeah,
and then
I
just
think
change the
so. You
lyrics?
can, yeah. That's okay. I'll just type it. It's good
I'm
practice
just
to type
wondering.
it.
Yeah, it's great practice.
So if button 0 is pressed and it's player 1, which is actually the second player, which is counterintuitive and weird.
Yeah, right.
And
that makes sense though.
1 grid X.
Oh, nice.
Is greater than. This is where I might need to scroll.
Oh yeah, this would be different.
What I did here. Yeah, navigating around this environment's a little annoying. Oh.
Oh crud!
Yeah.
Can you just go left there, or do?
Yeah. Yes. Perfect. Oh no, it doesn't like hopping down to the next line. That's what it is. But I think I can click. Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
Greater
Okay.
than 0. Then what did we say? Player grid X. So it's going to be player 1x grid X. And I'll comment this a little better so it's easier to understand what's going on here. Equals player grid X plus 1. No, minus 1.
Player 1 grid X.
Yep. Oh, player 1. Good call.
Mm-hmm.
It's minus 1. Yeah. And then end. Each if-then statement has to end with an end in this language.
Okay.
Which sometimes can be brought down onto the next line, but I noticed that in the example code, you could just throw the end on the very end of the line. I also look. We're going to need to be really careful about how much code we're using here because we have these are tokens.
Oh wow!
Yeah, this is the max amount of code we can write. So we're already at 147 out of 8,192. It's going to go pretty quickly, but
it is.
I'm gonna at some point I might have to start looking for places to tighten up the code a little bit. So I'm just going to work on it as is, and if we start to run out of room, then I'll worry about it and rebuild it. But for now, let's just
that's basically what I've been doing with all the other parts of it. All of my pieces, like I keep building bigger and then condensing and condensing and condensing. which is perfect for a retro game.
It is. Okay, so let's go up here. I think this is if it's less than 15, then player 1 grid x equals player 1 grid x plus 1. And so it's clear what's happening here, right? I think. So basically this, unlike an equal sign in math, equal sign here is a variable assignment. You're saying take whatever player 1 grid x is, take that value, and then subtract 1 from it, and that overwrites the value of that variable. So you're redefining reassigning the value for the variable. It's not like an equation in math. It's a variable assignment is what that equal sign is doing.
Okay.
You basically
so that's basically
take player 1 grid x, add 1 to it, and then overwrite the value of player 1 grid x with that new value.
If you press left or if you press right.
Exactly.
Or, well, I can't tell if that's up or down or left or right. Yeah, X.
I liked it better with the up, down, left, right symbols, and I might still be able to use those. I just wasn't sure if...
That's okay.
And the nice thing of this is building this piece like this. Once it's working, it's working. You probably won't have to change this again because we'll be adding to it, but we're not going to change this part once it's working in all likelihood.
Mm-hmm.
Oops, it's greater than. I need to remind myself what I did here. It's easier just to look at what I did rather than have to rethink it.
Yeah.
If it's greater than 0, then player 1 grid y equals player 1 grid y, and it should be -1. End.
Nice.
This is so much fun. It's. I think what's how to put this. What I found about programming, and again, I've never been trained to do this. I'm totally self-taught. Is that
cool.
If I make it really modular, it's pretty easy. On the other hand, the number of pieces that have to fit together to make an entire thing work is pretty complicated. So you got to break it down, break it down, break it down, and break it down, and then work on one little piece at a time, but have this kind of mental map of how it's all going to fit together.
Yeah.
Even better if it's documented, which I try to do a little bit in the design document.
Yeah. Yeah, it gives it a strong core. And you just keep like building off of that core.
Mm-hmm.
Adding different limbs.
This is going to be less than 7. Then player 1 grid y equals what did we do here? We added 1. And end. Okay.
Nice.
So what's interesting here is because it's going to read this kind of sequentially, it's actually, there's no way to do them simultaneously, but player 0 might have a slight advantage because it's going to calculate that first, like 30, every 30th of a second.
30th of a second of an
so
advantage.
What I need to do now, I need to see whether it's okay to update the grid once or update the grid after each time this is run. There's probably no harm in it, but let's see if it's working.
Yeah.
Okay, nothing's happening. Okay, I'm moving this character.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, there it goes. No.
Yes. Nice.
Something is not working as expected, though.
Oh.
I can't go down. So I made a mistake somewhere. So let's see.
Oh, 0. You put 3-0 instead of 3-1.
Oh, there
I'm button
3-0.
Yep. Boom.
We found our first bug. All right. All right, so I'm using I want to switch these. I'm using the right arrow key. We're moving, and now I'm We're zipping around. Check it out, and I can do them both at the same time.
Yeah. Oh,
We're
cool.
flying. We're fighting. I
Oh,
like
this
how
is so
fast paced it
perfect.
is.
No, this is
Because
perfect. That's exactly what I
you're
had in
gonna have
my
to come in
head.
and land a punch quickly and get away.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard to catch up with someone.
And then you blast out of there and you shoot Kai Blast back at him and you charge up when you get away and you do your
Yeah,
super
yeah.
attack.
I like it. So let's do a couple things though. Let's change this. So we want player one to be controlled by the other. So we want to switch this to one, right?
um
And we're gonna change this to zero.
oh
Flip the controls, right?
oh yeah.
So now they should be controlled by the right. Let's run it again. Let's clear the screen and run. And yep, the right keys are controlling the second player, and the left keys are controlling this one, and we are good to go. See how easy that was?
Yeah. But then if you played one player you would control with the SE8DF controls. So do we want to switch it that way or do you want to switch where the sprites which side of the screen the sprites come on to so that player one stays the arrow keys if we were to have like a one player edition for the game.
I can't imagine we're going to have a one-player edition. I have no idea how to come up with a logic that's going to be
Fair.
intelligent, an engine that controls the character intelligently. I don't.
Fair.
I think that's a whole other level beyond my ability. So,
Right now,
as of right now, this is a two-player game.
something to grow to. Yeah, especially with AI and stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
I feel like
maybe I
there's
might be able to say, Chat GPT, give me an algorithm that controls a character using these controls. Who knows, right?
or different things to think about, or different types of algorithms that could work, or I don't know. There's probably all sorts of different ways to word it, and they'd come up with whole different scenarios and help you in all sorts of crazy ways. But also, there's probably a way to, well, probably not in PICO-8 to use AI.
What we could
But
do as
there's
well,
other.
just to give this a little bit of framing, why don't we create a background for the grid for the gauges up top? Just a plain rectangular background, like a light dark
Oh
gray
yeah,
background, just to show the screen is divided to make it clear what's going on here. That'll be
yeah,
really
that'd be
easy to
great.
do. What I need to do is go back to this tutorial, and we need to figure out how to draw a rectangle. I think there's just some drawing functions. Yeah, or draw a shape. We're going to draw a basic filled rectangle.
Build rectangle.
Yeah,
Cool.
okay. Rectangle filled. Rect fill is the okay. So this should be easy because that's not going to move, right? As of
Right.
right now,
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. No, there shouldn't be any movement to that.
And so eventually we'll need to have two kind of screens: this character selection screen and then the gameplay screen. But for now, we're just working on the gameplay. And so probably what'll happen is like there'll be like a variable that says which screen are you on, 0 or 1, and screen 0 is the character selection screen, and screen 1 would be the playing screen. So only draw this rectangle if you're on the gameplay screen, not on the character selection screen. But we're gonna worry about that later.
Cool. Okay.
So let's draw. Let's see. It was rect fill. What do we have here?
Yeah.
Okay, so number of pixels from the left going right for the first corner.
Cool. So you just need the coordinates
Yeah,
x1,
I'm just a
x2,
little confused
x1,
here.
y1.
Wish I could pause this. Like, I want to see what's happening here. Okay, okay. It looks like it's just drawn between two corners.
Yeah.
Two opposing corners like this. That's what's going on there.
Yes. So
All
you
right.
want to do the top left corner and the bottom right corner
Yeah,
of it. So
which
the top
is going to
left
be
corner of the
0,
map and the
0,
middle
and then we're going to
right.
be, and we want to go down to
The right middle, right? Or I think at some point it can go up to like the top third of the map. But for right
127,
now,
comma 60.
oh, it's out of 128. That's
Right.
right.
So it's 0 through 127, and then 0 through halfway would be 64.
63 because of 0, or well, I guess 64 would be fine.
Yeah,
But
I think that's right, because we don't want the player to overlap with the
yeah,
Let's
with
try
the
this,
X.
and then let's give it a color.
Rectangle.
Let's go back to
Can we do purple?
Sure.
That
Like
dark
this
purple there.
This one here, like
Yeah, that one. To the right.
oh, this kind of
The
like
purple.
magenta color.
Yeah, I'm thinking of doing a space background, just putting some stars in there. I feel like it reminds me of the cosmos. But it does. It gives Dragon Ball Z, especially with the Piccolo and Frieza that you built already.
So let's see.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, there we go. That works. They're not overlapping. That's perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So you like that? You like that purpley color?
Oh, we could do something less. I guess I was expecting more of a border than a fill, even though it was called rect fill. As soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh yeah, it's filled in."
I was thinking visually, just so the colors of the gauges pop, something more
Yeah, we
like
could do something else. I was thinking it would have a border,
like this one
just
here,
like
like this dark gray right here. That way, all
yeah,
the
do
gauges
that.
just pop off that because they'll be nice, colorful, bright gauges.
Yeah,
So
I
we got one,
wasn't
two,
thinking
three,
of how
four,
it was actually going to
five.
look correctly.
Nice thing is see how easy it is to change stuff. You know, iterate on it real
Yeah,
easily.
exactly.
So let's change this to 5, and then let's run. There we go.
Nice.
All right, so now we need to figure out how to avoid collisions because look what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, so you could just be
Also,
stuck there.
it could be that we want the dark gray to be on the bottom and the gauges to be on a black space up top. You know, who knows, right? We can figure it out later.
Yeah, the bottom space would be a map.
So how do we figure out the collisions? So we need to add some more conditions to each of these if-then statements.
Yeah, if a player already occupies a space, then you can't go there.
Right. This is where I might want to.
Whoever gets there first
Pull
has
out a trusty old
priority.
piece of paper and try this on paper first.
Yeah.
See here. I'm gonna grab a pen. Oh, could you hand me a pen, please? Thank you very much.
You're making my lip.
So what do we want to say? We want to say if okay.
Well, I guess for like player 0, if player 1 is, if I don't know exactly how to write it.
Right, that's part of the challenge here.
Yeah.
We don't need extra parentheses. We can stack these and statements, say this and this and this. So we don't need extra to worry about parentheses here. So let's start adding an and.
Player 1, because you're on player 0 and
talking
player.
About moving left here, right? So yeah.
Yeah, and player 1 grid X is, well, no, because if I'm trying to say if player 1's already in that space, then it doesn't work.
Let's see, player 0 grid X. So we're talking about going to the left, right? So that's going to be decrease. Okay, so if we're going to have to add some parentheses after all here, and player 0 grid X minus 1
equals player 1 grid X?
Actually, if it's not equal to, if player 0 grid X is not equal to the player
because they go
grid Y position, grid X position.
Because it works.
How do you do not equal in this language? Not equal. Okay, it's pretty standard. It's an exclamation point and equal.
Okay.
And if
Okay.
player 1 grid X. So do I need to add another parentheses here? I think I do, right? Oh no, okay. I count my parentheses. Okay. I need another parentheses there. Okay, let's test this. I didn't get an error, so that's good. Okay. But can I come over to this side? Ah, boom! Check it out. It's stuck.
Oh, nice. Yes.
That's totally it. Okay.
Success.
So now we just need to do the same thing for all the other dimensions.
Yeah.
Fun, huh?
Oh, that's sick though. It worked. Yeah. That's super fun.
You know, I have done this. I haven't done this a lot, but I've done it enough where I can plow through it. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, that worked. One word at a time. One word at a time. I know I need an and here. that gets you there. So cool. Yeah. It's cool that I'm understanding it, or at least I feel like I'm understanding it.
Okay, and this time we want to check to the right, so it'd be player grid X plus 1 is not equal
Cool.
to player 1 grid X.
Does there need to be a space between the plus and the 1?
Oh, yes. Yes, it does.
I just noticed they were suddenly aligning. I was like, why are they aligning now?
Why aren't they aligning? Oh, that's why. Right there. Okay.
15.
So this should work the same thing on the right now. So let's we gotta get
Cool.
we can only test one at a time, so let's go over here. So
Yeah.
yep, that's working. Can't
Nice.
oh
You can still go right anywhere else.
that. No, look,
fuck.
I can't go to the right.
They're in the grid X.
Yeah, okay. I
So
see
you
I see
can
the
go
mistake
right
I made. I need to test the vertical alignment as well.
Yeah. This is fun. It's an interesting puzzle.
It is. Okay, so we need to add an and.
It's so cool thinking how the computer thinks. It's like a fun exercise and just thinking like, okay, well, now you can't go that way at all. Oh, that's funny.
Okay, so wait a minute. What do I want to do here?
Oh, man.
Just sorry, I'm being quiet. I'm just kind of thinking this through in my head here.
Same. Yeah, take your time. This is perplexing to me. That's why I'm giggling so much.
Let's think.
What the hell?
So basically, and is it's additive, right? So if this
Yeah.
condition is met, and this condition is met, and this condition is met, so we just need to say and the two are at the same vertical level.
Yeah.
Or if they're not at the same vertical level.
Yeah, there it is.
Right, if they're not at the same vertical level, right?
So
here we need to add an
something
and.
along those lines. Write that first and let's see what happens.
Player 0x is not equal
Grid X or just
to
0x?
player grid X is not equal to player 1 grid X. You don't need parentheses around a statement that simple. Okay, let's try that. So we've only done one direction here, so I can't even get to the other side to test it. Oh, there we go. Okay, no, that's not working. So what did I do?
You still can't go through him either, though.
Nope. So I did something
Okay,
wrong
so
here.
you can't go to the left or right of the other character now. That's an unfair advantage. Okay.
Why isn't that working though? It should be working. Oh, Y. Grid Y.
Oh, yep. There
That's
it
why.
is.
That's the problem. Run. Okay, now I have to kind of get oriented here.
Yeah. Gotta get Piccolo past Frieza first. No?
No. Nope.
Maybe that
Not
does need
working.
more parentheses. And player 0 grid.
So let's
Maybe try just
let's
equals
just
instead of
write out
not
everything
equals.
we've written here. So I'm going to read it out to
Yeah.
us here.
Yeah.
If
Thank
the
you.
button is pressed, that's the left button, and the grid position is greater than 0, means it's not already to the leftmost position, and player 1 grid X minus 1, which is the next position over, is not equal to where player 1 already is, and player 0 grid Y is not equal to the player 1 grid Y.
Should have a parenthesis on the first side of the player 1 or player 0,
I don't
maybe?
think so, but let's...
Yeah, because, yeah,
I
it's
don't think that
not
needs
equal to
parentheses,
the
but
Y
let's
position.
try it. So we're going to have to kind of... So we're talking about going to the left, right?
Yeah.
So... Yeah, that's weird.
No?
It's not going... What am I doing wrong? What is wrong? I'm truly confused here.
Yeah. I'm wondering if it's just like a formatting thing somewhere along the lines. It feels like it's the right words, at least.
Let's count our parentheses. We got a left, right, left, and a right. So those are ended. We got one open left one. We got a left. We got a right. Those go together. We got a left. We got a right, and then the last one closes. So the parentheses are right.
Okay.
No typos. Player 0 grid Y not equal to player 1 grid Y.
Yeah, I'm not. This part was all right, and we're pretty much working. There's zeros. Maybe it needs even more explanation. If they're not at the same Y grid. Maybe that's too simple. But I don't understand why. Yeah, this is where being able to scroll out would be pretty nice, huh?
I don't think these parentheses are needed here.
Okay.
keep using the wrong buttons. I'm not used to using these keys. That's funny. Okay, now I can't move left at all.
Oh crap!
So I really messed something up.
Oh no. Oh wait, did it finish typing there? Then player grid 0.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
That looks
Okay.
right.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder, it might just be a typo here somewhere. Zero grid Y, player 1 grid Y. Looks good. It looks like it should work. So I'm a little
Yeah.
confused.
Can't go left. Oh, it just went left for a second. What the? Hmm.
Now I can't go past it at all. What in the heck did I do wrong, Dylan?
Hmm. Ah.
I wonder if it. Nope. It's weird. I can't go past that at all. That's so weird. I don't understand what I did wrong. It looks like it should work.
Here's.
So if player 1 grid x minus 1 is not equal to player 1 grid x, it's player 0 grid x minus 1. Yeah.
No.
And player 0 grid y, if it's not equal to where the player 1 is. So in other words,
Player 1 on the grid Y.
yeah, so in other words, if the on the x-axis, if the player 1 is to the left, then you shouldn't be able to go left. And oh wait,
Oh.
let me think here for a second. So we're saying go left if the player 0 grid x position minus 1 is not equal. That makes sense. So if it's not equal to the player 1 grid position, then go left. And if the player 0 y position is not equal to the player 1 y position, or if they're not on the same y level, then go left. That sounds right.
Yeah.
Is this line too long?
Yeah, I can't understand unless the explanation and equals should be separated, but I don't think they are supposed to be.
I wonder about the line length.
Yeah, that's not a bad question. And I noticed there's only 41 lines open. I don't know if that's just for this one page or for the whole game.
Just wondering if there's like a maximum line length or something.
Yeah.
I don't think so though, because then it wouldn't be moving at all if that's the case. So that. So I don't think that's it. We could tighten this up a little bit though.
Yeah, there's an answer.
Yeah, there's a shorthand way of doing what we did here. Okay. Let's just shorten this line up a little bit. This is a way of saying add 1 to it.
Oh.
Hold on here. It was +1, right?
Yeah.
No, it was -1.
Oh, for the top line. Yeah, it's -1 on the top line.
-1. That means just space there. I forget. Yeah. Plus equal and minus equal. Okay.
Cool.
This is plus.
Yeah, it is.
Plus equal 1. We're just going to shorten this up a little bit and make this as tight and readable as we can make it.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Wait a minute. I wish I could look at this whole thing. It's easier to look at it.
All right. That's what I keep thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I just upgraded recently. I do music, so I just upgraded from GarageBand to Logic, which are very similar softwares. But one of the big things in Logic is you can zoom the project out easier, and you can zoom not only horizontally but vertically as well. So it's like I'm so spoiled now. I'm like, zoom it out real quick, but there is no option to do that at all. Yeah, and going back to GarageBand sometimes can be a little like, oh crap, I wish I could just do this thing real quick.
I think what I'm going to do, just for simplicity's sake, I want to get the first line working before I worry about the second line.
Yeah.
Oh, what did I do here? Blew up something. Oh, there we go. Missing parentheses here. Okay, we're talking about leftward movement. So as it stands right now, we're talking about going left. And I can go right, no problem. If we move this over here, I can still go right, no problem. I can't go left past this, so there's definitely a mistake.
Yeah, if Piccolo went to your right, you could go left, though.
Right, exactly.
And go all the way back. Okay,
exactly.
yeah, so you cannot pass the other character at all right now with the boundary we set for some reason. Wait, we put in that if you're going left, then the player 1 isn't in the X or the Y spot, then you should go left.
So let's talk through this. Maybe it doesn't like
Yeah.
this. It might not like the string of ands without parentheses.
Okay.
That could be part of the problem. It might ignore the second and. So I think in that case, what we need to do, let's add a parentheses here. I'm just testing. That could be. It may not like and without parentheses to make them binary. A lot of environments allow that, and this one might not. So this might fix it. So let's see. Let's get this guy off to the right. Let's get this player off to the left. And no, that didn't seem to make a difference at all. That wasn't it.
You're on the right track, though. Should there be parentheses around if player 1's not in the X position, and then another set of parentheses around if they're on the Y, kind of like a math problem? Even though this isn't operating quite like a math problem. It's just the structure I'm used to.
So if player 0 grid X is greater than 0 and player 0 grid X minus 1 is not equal to player 1 grid X.
Yeah, so this part have parentheses around it. So from before this and to after this one, yeah, right there.
Right here?
And then before the grid X part. So a little bit more left, yeah. So this whole chunk is in parentheses together.
This whole chunk. Right here?
Yeah. 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 I don't know if that makes sense to you, but
well, this is one operation here. Player 0 grid X minus 1 is not, so that's one of the two and.
Yeah, this puts them kind of together. It's like if this.
Then we need another parentheses there to end it. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's try it. Yeah, I have no idea. At this point, I'm throwing the spaghetti against the wall, so to speak.
Yeah, I'm trying to get elaborate.
I don't think the parentheses are making a difference. I think we've got a conceptual mistake here somewhere.
Okay, I'm not conceptualizing.
We gotta just have some mistake. I'm just deleting our extra parentheses here. Same behavior.
I almost wish I had a notebook so I could just write it down so I could see the whole line at once. I feel like that could help. Button left. Oh, should it be and player? Oh, something about how the -1 is here. If they're not at -1, it doesn't equal grid X. Should there be some sort of number associated with grid Y at all?
I don't think so, because I mean, we're saying
yeah,
move left if these conditions are met. If condition 1 is the button is pressed, the left button is pressed. Okay, that's pretty clear.
Yeah.
And the player 0 X position is greater than 0. So if it's greater than 0, we should be able to move left.
Mm-hmm.
And if the X position -1, which is the next position to the left, is not equal to where the player 1 position already is, that seems to be working well. It's this part that's not working well.
Yeah. So that's why I was wondering if player 1 probably 0 grid Y.
But this makes
sense. I was wondering
though,
if there shouldn't be more defining. Yeah.
Because these should be. I just don't understand what's holding this up. These are the additive. These conditions are additive. So if all those conditions are met and this condition is met, the Y
And
position,
player
yeah,
one
the
is
player
not.
0 Y position is not the same as the player 1 Y position. It seems pretty straightforward. So why isn't it working? then move the player 0 1 position to the left, 1 grid position to the left. It sure seems like it should work.
Y is up and down. Yeah, so if they're
Yes,
not
yeah.
at the same up and down, then you should go left. Yeah.
Right. It's not at the same vertical position.
Yeah,
Go left.
then you should go left.
Then player 0, decrement that essentially means subtract 1 from the grid value.
Yeah, unless there's something weird with the formatting, I don't understand.
I mean, there's other ways of thinking about this, right? I know you can flag sprites. I don't know. This seems like the easiest way to do this, though.
Yeah.
Hmm. So confusing. So I haven't messed up anything with that character. I can move to the right, move to the left, no problem. Up, down, no problem. It's ending where it should. And it's only when I'm on the right side of this that there's a problem.
You were able to. Oh, yeah, you took off the coding for the other one already. Okay, yeah, so you can't just go back to the left of them yet. And you're not in the same Y coordinate right now. Your Y coordinates are not equal, so you should be able to go left. And the player one is not in your X coordinate you're trying to go to.
Okay, so maybe I'm thinking about the logic of this. Maybe there's a problem in the logic of this.
Okay.
Look at this again. Sorry, so much of my thought process
No,
is just going
this is great.
inside my mind to figure it out here.
That's how I do it too.
Because what we want to say, we want to say not both, right? So if the button is pressed and it's well, no, because really they're separate things, right?
Yeah, that's why I was thinking the parentheses to separate out where player one is at, as opposed to player two, whichever. I don't know if I should call him player one or two. Yeah, the other opponent, wherever your opponent's at, those controls seem different than defining where the map ends. So that's why I was thinking parentheses around them. But yeah, I can't tell how much the parentheses contribute, I guess. But it's like if you wrote the math equation 1 plus, I don't know, 2 times 1 or something, and you had the parentheses versus no parentheses, it would change. Well, it could if I said the right numbers
I
and
really don't think
this
it's the
stuff.
parentheses that are causing the problem.
Yeah,
If we mess with the parentheses
yeah.
and the behavior didn't change at
But
all.
everything seems so simplified already. Then, yeah.
No typo, right? Player, that's a 0. Grid Y, make sure it's not an O. No, it looks different. Okay. Not equal to player 1, grid Y. Those are D's, not zeros, not O's. Okay, everything looks good there.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if parentheses are needed for these and statements.
Yeah.
don't see anything in the documentation that says you can't just stack and statements like that. Let's look at parentheses. Yeah, there's nothing here about that.
Mm.
Let's look up if statements real quick.
Mm.
Doesn't even look like it needs parentheses around the if condition there.
There's else's.
Yeah, you can say if this, do this, or else do that.
Mm.
So that might be another way to figure it out. Let's see. With reason through this,
Yeah.
you can say if one condition, then, or else if this condition, or else if that
Okay.
condition. Put the most likely condition first, doesn't really matter in this case. Limit the number of conditions. Use else to catch all other cases. Alright, we could try it this way. I hate to butcher what we've already done, but that's okay. Let's just give ourselves a little room here. Oops. Problem is these aren't separate conditions. These really are conjunctive conditions. These
Yeah.
conditions have to be met in order to move.
To move left.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah,
else if is not going to
exactly.
work.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I can't figure a way to really make it. It's not an or else situation for this one necessarily. So definitely, if all these things aren't happening, then go left. If you're not going off the map and player one isn't in your X space or that Y space,
Well,
then you
clearly
should go
this
left.
part is working, right?
Yeah. And something about the grid Y, something with the grid Y seems to not be
Working, exactly.
working. Yeah, it's not understanding what we're meaning all the way. Or something about what we're writing isn't what we think we're writing. If player 0 grid Y is not equal to player 1 grid Y, is not
I
equal.
wonder if it's because we didn't update this twice.
Separate? Hmm. Yeah, maybe. Like separate them into their own things.
Out of curiosity, let's just see what happens. Okay, that player's moving normally. This player's moving normally. This player can go to the left.
Mm.
Doesn't seem to be making a big difference, does it? Okay.
Mm-mm.
No harm there. Leaving it, though, probably for the moment. Okay, let me just check. Maybe we're not updating the... Yeah, these are all player one. Okay, that's right. So that's changing the player one grid positions correctly. The drawing function is drawing both sprites. Oh, hold on, I got an idea. Oh no, so I'm making sure I, in this update the grid function, I'll make sure I got player 0 and player 1 in there, and it seems to be player 0 grid, player 0 grid, player 1 grid, player 1 grid. So that all looks right. So weird, I'm totally confused.
Yeah, it's gotta be something. We're so close. We gotta be super close. Oh, wait.
Hmm.
We changed the zeros and ones in the button, but not in the everything else. So this is button left for player 1, then player 0 go grid, right? We just changed those ones and zeros, but not the rest of the ones and zeros in the whole equation.
Well,
Make
no,
the characters appear
because
left to switch their controllers.
I
Is
don't
that
think
not a
that's
part of it? You
I
don't
don't think
think?
that's a part of it
No. Crap.
because
Okay.
this is just a matter of which control pad is being used. I don't think.
Okay.
Might want to make that more consistent eventually, but I don't think that's the cause of it because this is just saying, use the
Use
arrow keys for
player
player
1.
0. This
Oh, for
this is
players.
just this is just the arrow keys. No,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
yeah. Yeah, these are the arrow keys right here, right? The 0, and then these are the
Okay.
A, E, S,
Yeah,
D,
those
F.
aren't the
Yeah,
players.
so right,
That's right.
exactly.
Those
So it's a
aren't the
matter of
players. Those are
which
controls.
controls are being used for which player.
Okay,
Yeah,
I see.
I think that's related.
Thought I was on to something.
Let's see what happens if I get rid of all these parentheses. It doesn't look like the parentheses are needed at all. Let's try that. Try to get rid of everything that could possibly be getting in the way.
What is happening? There's nothing in your
Actually, I do have an
face.
idea. Let's see. So I got it. Let me try something.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
I think I got it. Let me just give me a second to try it. I'll explain. If it works, I'll
Yeah.
explain what I did.
Perfect. I'll just watch.
um, oh, hold on one second here. I gotta. Not there. Not there.
Ah. Oh. Okay, come on. Yeah. Nice.
There it is.
There you go.
Put my logic hat on.
Oh, that's so cool. Yes.
All right, well, let's do that for all the
I
rest of.
knew it was something simple formatting, some simple formatting
Well, I
thing.
need because basically, yeah, that needed to be
Yeah.
an or, not an
Or
and, because they would never be true
yeah.
together.
As you put that, I was like, yeah, they
Ugh.
wouldn't be.
All right, so now we got to repeat the same basic
That's so cool.
thing
Yeah,
for. Okay,
so fun.
okay, we do not need the outermost parentheses we discovered, so let's get rid of those. Where do we start diverging here? We do not need those. Okay, we need and parentheses. Player 0 grid X. Okay, we're talking about going to the right now. Plus
Yeah,
1
that's one.
is not equal
Yeah.
player 1 grid X. Okay,
Yeah.
we got parentheses going there.
Yeah.
Okay, then we have an or.
War.
Or
So,
player 0 grid Y. Oops, Y does not equal player 1 grid Y. And that should be good. So now it should work
yeah.
completely both left and right directions. Let's try it.
Oh boy.
So we can go past that one, up above.
Oh
And but if
snap!
we
And you can't
encounter,
run into
we
them.
can't run into it.
Oh shit! But you can
So
still go through them up and down.
yep. Oh
Cool.
wait, yeah. That's a good question. I get it. Oh, it's so sensitive. Yep, there we go. So
Yeah. Cool.
all
That's
right, so
fun.
we're so close. All right. Hey, this is cool.
Yeah,
Isn't
this is really cool.
it satisfying when something works?
Oh yeah,
All right, now we gotta be really. This is so tricky. I wish I could see the whole thing. It'd be much
it's
easier.
cool. It's like learning to think like a computer.
Mm-hmm.
It really is a new
You know,
language.
the fact that I teach logic has served me immensely well when it comes to programming.
Mm.
All right, so let's see. We can get rid of these outer parentheses. And then we have parentheses. Player. Talking about Y now. Okay. Player 0 grid Y. Okay, we're
Yes.
talking about this is the up direction, which
S
is
minus
negative
again,
in
I
terms
think.
of X. Yeah. So minus
Yeah.
again. Minus 1 is not equal to player 1 grid Y. Or and then we have to switch this from player. Okay, these have to be X now. Player X grid.
Yeah. Or
Oh, player 0. Yeah. 0 grid X is not equal
yeah.
player 1 grid X.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. I think so.
I think so too. Let's just add them both here, and then if they don't work, we can go back and see what we did wrong. But I think we're on the right track.
Uh,
Then we have to do the same thing for player 1. So,
Yeah. I was just thinking that.
yep. Good times, huh?
This is great.
I mean, hopefully this gives you a newfound respect for how complicated game programming is. And you play a complicated game.
Oh, for sure.
You know.
Oh yeah. Wait till you play Sparking Zero as opposed to what we're building here. It's pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Which, yeah, I mean, obviously, so many games out there are freaking just mind-boggling at this point.
Okay, so we said we can get rid of that and
The open world games that are just hard to wrap my mind around.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we have player 0 grid y plus 1
Yep.
is not equal to player 1 grid y. Or player 0 grid x is not equal to player 1 grid x. Boom. Okay, so now we should be good to go. Let's just kind of position this guy here in the middle. So we should be able to go around him all the way, left, right, up, down,
Nice.
blah, blah, blah. Looks good, right? And if we try to run
Yes, it
into
looks
him,
great.
can't do it. Try to run into him, can't do it.
Dude,
Can't do it, and
come
can't
on.
do it. So that works.
Nice. Success.
Now we need to do the same thing for the other player.
Yes.
I think what we can probably do, we can probably copy and paste this and then just change the zeros and ones,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So we can get rid of our parentheses here.
Maybe. Oh yeah, perfect.
We can get rid of our outer parentheses. We can do this a little more intelligently than handwriting this, I think. All right, it's amazing we're solving this problem. I feel really good about this.
Yes, this is super cool. This is a fun equation too.
So let's do the first one.
Oh. Oh yeah, you have to do one at a time. Yeah, might as well.
Where did I? Oop, hold on here.
Oh.
I don't want to redo the buttons. I want to do it. Okay, after the button. After the and. So after the and. Okay, we'll go down here. So this we're going to paste right in. Boom. And now we need to change the ones and the zeros. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, might as well start from the beginning. And then you can just look down below too.
Player 1. And this is going to be player 0.
0.
And this is going to be player 1. And this is going to be player 0. And this should be player 1
Yeah.
grid X. And everything else is good. Okay, let's do the same thing. I think this will work. I'll be very surprised if this does work.
Yeah. Yeah, same. And this is also a good skill to practice.
So after the and.
Because what I've been using a lot with my notes that I'm sending to you is I've finally learned how to do all this copy and pasting in my notes app where I can do my drawings, which is a huge level up. And I found the grid paper thing. I learned a lot working on this project so far, at least with like being able to draw creatively on my phone.
I'm pretty optimistic
and then
this is going to come
duplicate and
together.
try different
This is going to come
ideas.
together a little faster than you might think once we get this foundation laid.
Oh yeah,
Because then
yeah.
you start
I'm
adding
thinking more and
mechanics
more
one at
about
a time. You know.
yeah. I'm thinking about dropping down to even less characters because it sounds just like the game has got less space than I was anticipating, and I want the characters to be able to do so much. I'd almost rather just have 2 characters that can do it all than 5 characters that can only do some of it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Wait,
Goku and Frieza would be pretty great.
Oh, I forgot to.
Huh? Sorry.
Oh, I forgot I forgot to do this one, didn't I? Player 1. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, must have. Yeah,
I think I forgot one.
because this should all be player 1.
Right. And that's player 1.
Yeah,
That's
and
where
then,
we changed to player 0.
yeah, perfect.
And
Oh wait,
player 1.
the bottom 2 is still player 1 on that. Oh, you haven't done it. Never mind. Sorry. Yeah, you haven't got there yet.
And then this should be player 1.
I was looking off fantasizing. And I just looked back over.
Okay, and let's go ahead and grab the third one of these. Okay, and grab the third one. Yeah, navigating around this very pixelated authoring environment is tedious.
Yeah. Yeah, you're really onto something with being able to scroll out, like zoom out and stuff, and see the whole document. That would make it so much simpler for you.
Player 1.
For anybody.
I'm going to change to player 0.
But I do like the aesthetic.
I do too. It's so much fun. This is like what I grew up with, more or less, you know. Except the programming language is totally different.
Yeah,
Back in the day,
exactly.
it would have been programming in BASIC, not in a modern programming language. This is essentially retro programming in a modern programming language.
Exactly. Yeah, it looks like a video game already. Yeah, it feels like you're playing a game. I mean, this is how I play games, but
I'm so thrilled to see this coming together already. I'm actually making, frankly, better progress than I thought I would make this quickly, you know.
yeah, it's going great. I mean, you're right on with all of your, takes on how to build it. Just having like the documentation and then the modular view. Just I'm going to build one step at a time. Come in with 1 to 2 things I'm going to build. It's going smooth because we've got like already the core of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm starting to think about going down to just Goku and Frieza at this point, seeing the how much language we can write and thinking about all the different types of attacks and stuff I'd like to be able to do, which could be more fun than, I mean, characters are kind of basically cut and paste.
Yeah, right. You can
And if
always
they're
add
just
more
taking up space
characters.
in the game, yeah, if there's space at the end, add a third or fourth character, we can do that. But
Yeah, but the
I
thing is, can't be
could just
really
see this
simple
being
because
a duel.
all it's going to change is which sprite is being drawn. So we get all the game mechanics working, and then go, okay, now draw the right sprite. That's actually not too difficult, unless the mechanics really change based on the characters, which they
Yeah,
might. In which case, there's a little more programming. But it's not hard because you can say if it's this character, then do this. If it's this character, then this button does that. If it's this character, then this button does that. You know, it's all right. I think we're good.
yeah. I was just thinking of all the memory and space being used with all the different sprites in there, and I wanted to do a bunch of different attacks and combos if possible.
So
But yeah, I don't
let's
know how
test this.
much.
We can go all the way around now, and
Perfect.
we
Yeah.
get stuck there. We get stuck going downward. We get stuck going to the right, and we get stuck. And now let's make sure the other works the same for the other player. Let's park this character, and we can go all the way around. And if we try to go through, can't do it.
Perfect. Nice.
I'm such a wizard.
Yeah.
There we go.
Hey, good boy, Juppy.
Now all we need to do is figure out how to flip them facing the right direction. But before I do that, let's
Yes.
save this. Save fight. Yes, overwrite.
Yes.
Boom. Okay.
Saved.
Now what I want to do is look at how to flip the sprites. So let's go back to our
Oh, that is so cool.
manual here, and let's go to the
Yeah, I'm really
manual
glad they have that
first.
function and that that's not 2 separate sprites for every
Okay,
single
operations
thing
on
you want them
selected
to
area or
do.
selected sprites. Flip. Okay, so we basically want to flip horizontally. We're not going to flip vertically. They're going to always be facing upward. They're not going to rotate.
True. Yeah, I don't think there will ever be a horizontal flip.
Okay, so let's see. How do you do an
Could be
operation
fun
on
though
a
for like a
sprite?
fighting attack.
Oh, maybe that's just. Is that just in the editor, or can you flip it in the when it's drawn? Let's see. SPR. Where's the sprite? What time are you leaving? I don't know, like 4:35. Okay, yeah. So we draw a sprite, give it its coordinates, and then okay, 1, 1. Okay, it might have to be a little more detailed about how we draw the sprites for adding. Then optional is a boolean, flip x, flip y. So basically, we want to say, got it. Okay, let me. So if we're going to draw all the sprites to the right, let's add some new values here, some new variables. Okay, player 1 flip x equals. So player 1 we're calling. Oh, we're doing player 0. Wait, right? Player 0. That's what we're calling player. The first player is player 0, and
Yeah.
that is.
Yeah.
It's this guy, this gray guy, right? Yeah. Okay. So
Frieza.
let's. Right. So we're going to call that false. We're not going to flip that one. And player 1 flip x
Oh,
true.
cool.
Okay,
Okay.
so but there's a few things that need to happen here. Um, let's get these drawing correctly. So when we draw these sprites,
Stay here, Jupiter. Sorry, the neighbor's dog is coming over. Jupy, let's head inside, bud. Come on, Jupiter, come with me, bud. Yeah, I'm gonna mute myself for a second.
okay, there is a way to draw the sprites bigger and smaller, but we're not going to worry about that for now. So basically what I've added here to these sprite drawing functions, sprite number 1, the coordinates of it, and this is the size, basically scale it by a factor of 1 in the x direction and the y direction, and then whether it's flipped or not. So as of right now, this should not make a difference. It should still work because player 0 will not be flipped and player 1. Oh, actually no, it should flip the second sprite to the right direction. And it does, look.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's epic.
But now we need to face right. It needs to flip, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so what we're going to do, let me think about this. I could create a new function that flips the
You just need player 1 to flip, right?
well, they both need to flip depending on which direction is being pressed and which direction it's already facing.
So would that be just in the direction controls for? Oh, yeah. I guess that you need to both flip.
Yeah, so it would have to be down here in these controls essentially, right here.
Player 1 just needs to flip when he goes left, or player 0, I mean, and player 1 only needs to flip when they go right.
Mm-hmm. So let's create a function to flip the direction.
Within the left and just those functions. So player 0's left gets a flip, which was 0. I think left is 0 now.
So all we're going to do now, we're not just going to do anything. We're just going to define a function.
Okay, cool.
Flip player 0. And now what do we want to do? We basically want to say player 0, actually if player 0 flip x equals true, then player 0 flip x equals false. End. So see how this works? So basically, we're not done with it yet, but
Do it one more time.
This is a function. We're calling the function flip player 0. And whenever that function is called,
Players.
if whenever player 0 flip x is true, then it's immediately going to turn around and change it to false. And then we're going to do the same thing in the other. And then if player 0 flip x equals false, oh no, because then that won't work, because that'll immediately flip it right back. So we need to do else if player 0 flip x equals false, then player 0 flip x equals true. End.
Okay, I think I actually did comprehend that.
End. So we have to end that
I'm
function.
pretty sure. And again, in the whole function. Okay.
Yep. So that's just.
Then you need to do a whole other function for the other player.
Hold on. We're not actually calling that function yet. We're just defining the function in the initialization routine here. So basically, we're just defining a new function, calling it flip player 0. If player 0 flip x equals true, then whenever that function is called, it's going to change it to false. Otherwise, else if player 0 flip x equals false, then change it to true, and then end the function. What was your question, sorry?
Okay. Oh, I was just saying, I think I understand.
And let's do the same thing for player
Yeah, I think I
1
understood
flip.
that.
Let's flip player 1. So function.
Oh yeah, maybe that was my question. Actually, do we need to do that for player 1 also?
Yep. Flip player.
Flip player
We need to
1.
be able to do them separately, which is why we are creating two different functions here. If player 1 flip x equals true, then player 1 flip x equals false. And else if player 1 flip x equals false, then player 1 flip x equals true. And end the function. So now what we need to do. Let me think. I think what we can do. So let's think this through. We're player 0, and we are facing to the right, which is not flipped.
Yes.
Probably what we need to do is,
We need pressing.
in the then part of the statement.
I'm sorry.
So if we move to the right or left, then we need to say, we need to check, are we, so we, in the then part of this, we have all these conditions when we can move left, right? And then we change the grid value. It's in the then part of this big if then statement. What we need to do is essentially inside the then part of this if then statement, we need to add an if statement inside this then statement. Because yes, we need to change the position, but then we need to say if we're not already facing left, face us left.
Yes. That's what I was just starting to comprehend. I was like, wait, we needed to stay facing left, though. Because it would probably just flip them right back around right now. After you are done holding the left button. Yeah, so you need an if statement to get them to stay holding left. Am I glitching out?
No, you're okay.
Yeah, they're cutting out. Okay,
No,
sorry.
you're okay.
Sometimes you're cutting out. I am outside. So it's like
Oh, no,
just
you're
making
okay.
sure I'm not cutting out. Okay, perfect. So if player 0 is
Yeah, I'm trying to decide how much of this I should
does
put on the
not
next
equal
line.
or is not already flipped.
I want to look at the
Let's see.
indent. I want to just look at some examples of if-then statements, see what I can move on to a next line, what I have to force onto the same line here. I think it probably doesn't really matter. But let's look at some examples of if-then statements here. Okay, so then. Got it. Okay. So I think what we can do, this is going to be a little tedious, but it's the right thing to do probably. Yeah. Okay. So let's take all these then statements, and we're going to bump down to the next line. Then we're going to indent that. And we're going to bump this in statement down, like so. Because basically what we need to do inside these if-then statements, we need to have a nested if-then statement saying, boom, 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 if all these conditions are met, change the position, but also change the direction it's facing. So then we need to say, if it's not already facing left, then do the flip direction function inside the then part of each of these if-then statements.
Okay.
So let's see if we can get it working. Again, let's try to get it working once, and then we'll worry about the other cases, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's before I do that, I'm going to make sure I haven't broken anything. So in bumping these down to the next
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it doesn't make a difference. I think this works just fine. You can see we're reading up our space allowed here. So
we are. That says
okay.
line 41 out of 61.
Yeah, it's only
We're only allowed 61 lines.
No. That's just how many lines max we have currently. The 8,192 is tokens. I think each
Okay.
basically each word, essentially each combination of characters separated by spaces counts as a token. So we have 317 tokens on the screen right now. And we can have a maximum of 8,192. I think that's going to be fine. Okay, so let's just make sure I haven't broken anything. Run. Oop. What did I do? Then expected near equals. What did I do?
Oh.
See, I broke something. Run. Oh, I see. I think I forgot to put a end here.
Oh, nice.
Nope.
No.
Attempt to call string.
Attempt to call string. Choose and play.
I wonder wonder if there's any, if you maybe put quotes around true and false, maybe. There's your flip X. Let's check out how to do booleans. No, just false. Okay. Okay. If player 0 flip X equals true, then player 0 flip X equals false. I don't see any problem there. Else if player 0 flip X equals false, then player 0 flip X equals true, and then end that function. Okay. If player 1 flip X equals true, then player 1 flip X equals false, and also if player 1 flip X equals false, then player 1 flip X equals true, and end that function. Okay, so what's the problem? Let's clear the screen here. Syntax error in line 18, tab 0. Line 18. Does it want me to tab that? No. Let's just try adding some parentheses here.
I guess I am a little confused by what it means all the way. So maybe if you, through explaining it to me, you'll figure out what's wrong. Because I guess I'm not really understanding the command so much. It sounds like if it's flipped, then flip it, and if it's not, then flip it.
Well, basically,
it just seems like it would be
all this function would do, if I get it working properly, is to, I'm going to get rid of these parentheses, is to take whatever value it is. If it's true, then make it false. If it's false, then make it true.
So, but doesn't that just make it keep spinning, or like keep going back and forth?
Only once when it's called. Only when you call the function. This isn't actually. This is just defining what the function does. So whenever this function here is called, which we haven't done yet.
Okay, I'm starting to understand it now.
Yeah, and so we're basically what we're going to do is down here we're going to say, if you press the left button, yes, move left, but also check to see if you're facing left, and if you're not, then run that function and make you go left, make you face left.
Okay, yeah, I'm getting it more now.
But I can't. It seems to not like the way I've defined this function. Because the problem it's finding is on line 18.
Yeah.
If player equals true, then maybe it doesn't like this. Maybe it wants me to do this.
Maybe there's another way to word it instead of then. Well, no.
Let's check.
Oh,
function. We have an if statement with an end. Then we have an else. Oh, we have an extra end. Run. No, that didn't fix it.
Or if you put it back into one line again. Or yeah, that.
Syntax error in line 8. I'm just not understanding. You have to define your variable types? No, doesn't look like it. Basically just say, basically variables can refer to a string, which is a piece of text in quotes, that chunk of text, or what is known as a Boolean, true or false, or numbers, of course, or a table, which is basically a list. But we're trying to do this. We're trying to give this variable a Boolean. We're trying to say this variable here, player 0 flip x equals false. That's a Boolean. We're trying to say that variable has this Boolean value, true or false. I mean, I could do it in terms of numbers, and then.
Could you do a true and false for both player 0 and player 1?
Well, no, because they're going to be opposite. They're going to start out opposite, so they're already.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's how they're initially starting. That's right. I see.
This is just their initial value.
Yeah.
Player 0 is not going to be flipped, and player 1 will be flipped.
Yeah, true. Okay.
So I just don't see what the problem is with this function. If maybe this has to be indented, and this has to be indented, and this has to be indented, and that has to be indented. I don't think so. I don't think the indentation matters that much in this environment. No, same problem. It's not it at all. Maybe it doesn't like these ends on the. Attempt to call a string value. Well, we're on line 18. This is the line it doesn't like.
Yeah.
Is the right player 0 flip x? That's the same thing, right? Player 0 flip x.
Can you just flip the false and true so make it? Oh well, no, because you want it to.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have another idea here, but just getting the more I program around the stuff, the wordier it gets. I can say flipping could be 0 or 1, 0 meaning not flipped and 1 meaning flipped. And then I could say, do it in terms of math, blah, blah, blah. If this, then I may not even need a function to do it. It's just it's such a simple thing to do. A function is the right thing to do, but it strikes me as really not necessary. It's so simple. It's the only time we're going to flip it is when we change directions, right?
Yeah, and only.
So
Yeah, the only thing is you want to stay flipped.
So let's just
Yeah,
say
but yeah,
screw this.
left or go right. So it could just be tied to the left button press of one character, the right button press of the. Well, I guess the left and right button press of both characters actually. Because they just want to flip back and forth. But then you want just the press of the button to get them to go that direction and stay that direction until another directional button is pushed, right or left. But yeah, it should all be intertwined in just the left and right.
So here's what we need to do now. If
well, now without that function, is it working again?
Yeah, it is. I just tested it.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I just looked up. I guess.
So let's see. If player 1 flip x equals so this is when we're going left. So if it equals, and it's facing to the right by default, right? So so if that equals false, then player 1 flip x equals true. I'm going to do this on one line. I'm going to keep this simple. And end.
Okay.
All right. Let's see if I broke anything. It did. It does not like
Yeah.
those. It does not like those Boolean values. Why not? Let's go to the tutorial here. Variable. Oh, Boolean. A Boolean, often shortened to bool, is a type of variable can have one of two values, true or false. Okay. Okay, this is exactly what we're doing. When equals false. That's a Boolean. Change the Boolean. When equals true. Okay. There's nothing. This is exactly what I've done. Easy toggle switch. Oh, it's an easy way to flip a Boolean variable to true if it is false and back to false if it is true. Oh, I know. I know what I did wrong. I know.
Yeah.
I got it. I forgot that when you're doing a test, you don't use the equal sign. Use a double equal sign if you're testing to see if two things are equal. Okay, so if, boom. So if player 1 flip x is equal to false, then reassign. Okay, that should fix it. I'm almost certain that'll fix it.
Oh, we're playing.
Except it didn't flip it.
It's not flipping it, but it's working. Maybe the true and false
should
are
be
back.
player 0.
Oh, perfect.
Run.
Yeah.
That worked. That flipped.
Yes. This is so cool. Yeah, and then you just need to do it on the right control and not the up and downs.
Yep. So, okay. So do the same thing over here. If player...
Nice.
I can't believe I forgot that in program. Player 0 flip x equals true, then player 0 flip x equals false. End.
Oh my gosh.
Run.
So cool.
Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Check it out.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh my gosh. It's so cool.
I am meeting all my goals of everything I wanted to do today. Getting a lot more, we're getting a lot more done than I thought we would. This is so much fun. It's fun to do it together, too.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been, every time I'm like over here just screaming things like, especially the first couple times. Because, well, the first time I couldn't get in, I didn't have a Twitch account set up. And I did get in at the very end, but I had already missed some questions. And then the second time I was watching your video back, so but I did send you everything I was thinking. But I have been excited to be able to just communicate,
Okay.
help, and see it all come to life as it's happening.
Yeah, so it doesn't affect the vertical position at all. So we just need to do the first two lines here.
Yeah, yeah, nothing with the up and downs.
Okay, but I'm gonna structure these all the same way for readability here. I'm pretty optimistic that we're not going to use anywhere near 8,000 lines of 8,000 tokens here. I mean, we've done a lot, and you know, I think this is probably a fifth of the way through the game in terms of programming.
Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah. It's most of the actual gameplay. It feels like just downloading or like inputting all the attacks now and button controls.
Exactly. And as complicated as that is, it can be totally modular. We can add one mechanic, then add another mechanic, and until we're happy with it.
Yeah.
But like I said, my goal at every turn is to make sure whenever I walk away from it that it's playable.
Yeah.
I love you. Let me know when you get there. Okay.
Okay, let's see here. So if what do we call it? Player 1 flip X. Player 1 flip X equals okay, so this is when we're going left. Wait a minute here. Let me think. So player 1 we started out facing. Yeah, we just need to say if we're not already going left, then so facing left would be flipped. So if we're going left, we need to stay not flipped. Or if we're not flipped, we need to make sure that it's flipped. So if player 1 flip X equals false, then player 1 flip X equals true, or set it to true. End. Right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too.
This part is definitely harder to follow, but I'm tracking, but it's harder to remember which is left and rights, which I think you understand.
This is right. So
Yeah.
if player 1 flip X is equal to, so this is when we're going right. So basically, if it's not flipped right, then we want to flip it right.
Yes.
Perfect. So if it's flipped, which would be facing left, then we need to unflip it, which would be facing right. And that should do it.
You put true on that one.
Oh, did I?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, sure did, huh? And so this is when we're going right. Oh, yeah, so if it's flipped, which is facing left, then we need to set it to false, which is facing right. Because right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just check our player. Let's check player 1 first. Going to the right, flipping, up, down, normal. That's working right. Okay, this character now, right, left, up, down. Perfect. And we run into each other. We can't go past each other. Doesn't matter which direction we're facing.
This is awesome. Can we make the play space to be a third of the screen real quick? Because I think that, and make that rectangle slightly smaller, or do you think that would be too small?
You mean make the gaming
So you
area
can
take
go
up
up
like
higher?
2/3 of the screen?
Yeah, instead of half.
Yes.
So it'd go to 11 instead of 7.
I need to change a few things to do that. Yes. Let
Okay.
me save my work here.
Yes, great idea.
Always save your work. Yep.
This is so cool, dude. Yeah, this is one of the coolest things I think I've done, even though I'm just like the artist on the project.
All right, we got a calculator here. So 128 divided by 3. Okay, so we have a real problem here, which is that it's not easily divisible by 3. So in terms of a third of the screen and 2/3 of the screen.
It could be off by like a pixel or two.
It sure can't it? Let's see
If
here.
we go up, just round up for the gameplay area and round down for the gauge area. So the gauge area is just like whatever
So
you have a
right now
great
it's
understanding.
16, which is 16 across. Huh. What if we did what if we added 2 more rows? Or 3 more rows? All All right, let me go back to the code here. Okay. So there's a few things we need to change. If we change these values, the initial values can be the same. What the player position translates to in terms of real coordinates would have to change. We'd have to change this value here to be however many pixels. That just bumps the grid down on the screen, essentially. And this value we'd have to change. I'm just thinking through everything we'd have to change.
Yeah.
We would have to change these values in this if-then statement. Basically, this value here would have to change.
Yeah.
And
anywhere with that 7 represented.
Yep, exactly. This value here would have to change. Yep. And that is about it, huh?
Yeah.
All
It's just figuring out what that's 7, which I was thinking 11, but yeah, I didn't think about the 128. I was thinking, different numbers.
So let's try it. I wish there were like track changes so you could change it and accept or delete the changes. That would be cool. But
what if you just did the 7s to 11s?
I just want to make sure we have enough room in our rectangle for all the stats. But we don't need much room for that, right?
No, it's just 3 bars.
3 lines of text
and
this. So 4 rows. Boom, 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 boom. Plus the counter in the middle. Basically 4 rows. One for the health, Kai, transform, and number of rounds, number of victories. As you drew it out, right? So change that to 11, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so now...
And the other grid Y too, I think. Right? Or player 0.
Yes, that's right. Now what we need to do... let me think.
Yeah, because these don't equal each other all the way,
So this would
16.
be... We had... this was tricky to get right. That's why I want to think this through carefully. So we're adding 4 more rows, which is 32 pixels, right?
Okay.
Each is 8 by 8.
Okay, yeah.
So basically, we want to take this down to 32, right? I think so. I'm pretty sure.
I trust your math. I trust your understanding of this. And the other 7s become 11s as well.
Yes. It's only going to affect the Y movements.
So down 1 more.
Right, so that's going to be 11.
Oh, and our square changes too. Our square can shrink its bottom right coordinate.
Change that to 32.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was actually... So this was 64 minus 1, so 31, I think.
Nice.
That might do it.
Oh, shit. Dude, yes. Okay.
Everything's working as expected. Yeah, no problem.
This is awesome.
That was easier than I thought.
Yes.
Check it out.
I love
so awesome. Check it out, hello.
There's so much space to fly around.
They can't bump, Yep, they can't bump off the screen. They can't go through each other.
This is so cool.
They change directions.
Yeah, they can't go through each other. They can't go off the map. They can't go in the gauge area.
This is really cute.
Yeah, I love it.
They have personality when they change directions. Check them out. They're so intentional about it. Now, can you imagine trying to fly around the screen at each other, landing a hit, boom, hit, you land a hit, and something happens, boom, It'd be very fast paced because they move pretty fast. This is mainly going to be running away from each other while trying to land a hit.
Trying to get away from each other. Well, every time you're away from each other, you have an opportunity to charge your Kai, and when you do that, you can use distance attacks. So there's just constantly stuff coming at you. You got to dodge them.
I just saved my work. Okay, the last thing I want to do is add some comments.
Nice. Okay, yeah.
Okay, so let's see here. Update real. Update player coordinates. Update pixel coordinates based on grid values. Always take the time to comment your stuff, you know, that way when you look at it again,
Yeah.
what the heck its intention is, you know.
Organization.
Exactly.
So nice. Yeah, I have to do that same thing with my music stuff. It's like if you're not labeling all these tracks and you're taking all these different tracks and putting them together, you have like 100 different things suddenly, and you want to go find one of them. It's so tough if they're not just labeled, so you can just be like, oh, there's the drums. Yeah, labeling and organizing.
Okay.
And it's easiest if you just do it from the start.
Yep. And so this function sets initial values and functions.
Nice.
Ooh, extra L in there for some reason. Initial variable values. It's kind of obvious, but you know, why?
Yeah, no, this is good. Put all these labels on there, make it as obvious as possible.
Game logic goes here. Actually, what we're going to do is move player 0. This outside the function.
Yeah. Nice.
Oh no. That shouldn't. That's.
Mm.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, this is the moving. Move player 0. You can actually add comments in line too, which is nice. So let's see.
Oh, cool.
So you can go like this. Player 0 grid X. Okay, so this is move left, right?
Yeah.
And this would be flip. And yeah. Flip sprite. Okay, and this would be move right. And flip sprite.
Nice.
This would be move up.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's unlike algebra where you know the origin is 0 0 and then right the exponent.
Yeah.
It's flipped. The origin in game programming is up here. 0 0 is in the top left. So positive X is this way and positive Y is down this way.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Move down. Okay, we'll do the same thing here.
Nice.
This would be move left and flip sprite. This is working pretty well.
Yes,
I'm actually really pleased I've got this far. Actually,
I'm super pleased. Yeah, and it's looking really nice, well organized, digestible. Yeah, it feels pretty sturdy.
I really like this environment. There's some other game-like things I want to make, and this environment might be great to do it in. I'm really enjoying this. And it's not the kind of thing you can throw on an app, unfortunately. You know, it's not really publishable, but you know, you can at least throw it on a website and go, look at what we made. You know, and show it to people.
Yeah, go play with it.
Yeah,
Go make a game.
Give me a game job. You know, So this would be move up, and this is move down. Okay. Update pixel coordinates. Same thing here.
I am logging off work today.
Okay, I'll be done with this in a few minutes.
Take your time.
Clear screen.
I love you.
I love you. Kiss on Twitch.
Kiss on Twitch.
Okay. Draw. Gauge. Background. Which
Nice.
it's the kind of thing like some of those things might just be like a separate function. Like I'll define a function for that. That way in this draw function, I can keep it as simple as possible. I can go, rather than have all this gobbledygook in it, I can just say, draw the background rectangle, draw the sprites, draw the whatever, you know.
Yeah.
I think what I want to front load all the hard stuff and then keep this draw function as simple as possible, because this is what's being drawn 30 times a second. So I want this to be simple so I can understand what's happening. Then all the game logic I can front load up above. So
Perfect.
okay, so this is just draw player 0 sprite. This is draw player 1 sprite. Okay, that should still work. Nothing should have changed. Let's make sure we haven't broken anything. Keep hitting the wrong.
Hell yes.
I keep hitting the wrong buttons. It's so weird to use the E, S, D, and F to move. I get that wrong. I'm so used to in Warcraft a W, A, S, and D. But it's working. Check it out.
Yeah, that feels off. Yeah, it's working perfectly.
It's
now
nice.
they need some attack.
So you know what I was thinking might be fun, just to add some candy to this. If you want to draw like two things, like one, if you want to like draw some backgrounds, so you know what you have to work with now. This is what, 32 pixels, this rectangle, right?
Okay, so
128 minus 32 is what? 96. So 128 by 96 pixels for the backgrounds.
Okay, so those would be individual squares, 128 by 96 individual little squares to color in.
Same size as the little squares that make up the 8 by 8 sprites.
Perfect.
So if you want to, pull out your just to start making this feel game-like, if you want to pull out your grid drawing thing and draw out some, a handful of backgrounds. Also, it might be fun to do a full-page intro screen, like, give it a title, come up with a title, whatever you want to call this game, draw some artwork.
I do have an idea already.
Make a title screen.
Okay.
And we can throw that up
I think I'm going to call it Frieza's Fury.
Call it what?
I'm going to do Goku and Frieza. I think I'm going to do Frieza's Fury, which is actually paying homage, or however you say the word, to Boo's Fury, which is another Dragon Ball Z game, but my favorite from the Game Boy era, the Game Boy Advance game. It's called Boo's Fury, but I think I want to call this one Frieza's Fury.
Is it just Frieza's Fury? Is it Dragon Ball Z Frieza's Fury?
I'm gonna look back at the other game because it might actually be Legacy of Goku, Frieza's Fury, because that was the Legacy of Goku's. It was a trilogy that they made, but it was a very different type of game. It was actually open world, which was very cool at the time. So this would be very different, but it would just be to those were my favorite games growing. I still have them all, and they're still probably my favorite of the Dragon Ball Z games. It's the Boo's Fury, but I was thinking about dialing it down, looking at the characters that I have created, and looking at all the things that I'd like to put in there. It could be fun to just have like an epic battle between it be an epic battle between Goku and Frieza for the game itself.
So I just realized I could check this out. I can actually, if I hold down both up and the right, I can move diagonally.
Oh shit! Oh, dude, it just got that much cooler. That's
I didn't
crazy.
really realize you could do that, but yep, apparently it tests for both at
Go
the
in
same
circle.
time.
That's so cool. Oh my
And it
gosh.
works pretty much as expected. So no changes even needed there. So I love when happy accidents work like that. So
Yes. Same. I love happy accidents. That's the name of me and my buddy's music group.
it's because of those stacking if then statements. If you're holding down the
Ah,
the up button, it goes up. Then the next thing, if you're holding down the right button, it goes right. So it just repeats those over, goes up, then right, up, right, up, right, up, right, and zigzags all the way across.
that's awesome.
However many times a second, 30 times a second.
I love this.
I like it. Actually feels really good. The pacing is right for a fast paced game. Imagine.
Yes, this makes me want to put Kai Blasts in there next. Add in little Kai Blast attacks
I
because
think
that's gonna be
I think the
a
next thing I
tricky.
want to do is at least capture the mathematical model for the gauges. So player
Okay,
one
perfect.
health, player 0 health,
Oh,
and player
that'll
one
be
health,
cool.
player 0 Kai and player 1 Kai. Give those values and then get them
That's gonna be
displayed on the
awesome.
screen in some way. Start working on the gauges. And then once those work, because we could test them, we could say just plug in a value of 100 and make sure it's looking right. Plug in a value of 50 and make sure the gauge looks right. And then we can go, okay, the gauges are working. All we need to do now is start adding fight mechanics. And so say player 2 is here and player 1 is right here, and I punch, then I can go, what happens with a punch? You need to make sure you're on the same, basically oriented as they are here, facing the right direction. Player 1 is next to you in the right position, whatever. And then you land a punch. Then I can say, do a few things. Increase your Kai, decrease the opposing player's health, and then update the gauges in real time as that's happening.
It'll be so cool.
But I think let's start with a punch. Let's get a punch working.
Okay, fine.
Because the reason is we want to make sure think of all the mechanics we had to go through to prevent passing
Yes,
each other. We'll have to say
exactly.
we need to come up with the if then test, right? If I'm next to the player in the right position, I'm facing the right direction, and I punch, then we can do whatever we want, right? And so we'll know, okay, once we get that worked out, then it'll be easy to kind of copy and paste that if the player's next to us and we're facing the right direction and we kick, then do something else, and so on and so forth. But the hard part is going to be like all the logic for making sure that when we're punching, we're oriented the right way and facing the right direction, and the opponent players in the right position to actually land the punch. That's going to be the hard part, I think, is getting that right. So
Yeah.
that's why I just want to do one mechanic first and see if we can get that working, because the rest will be like copy paste, copy paste, copy paste.
Perfect.
So that's a good
go
goal
in
for
there.
next time. We'll work on drawing the gauges and the
The
timer.
gauges.
I don't know how the timer is going to work. I need to figure out how timers work in this game. Can it automatically count down? If it's doing it 30 times a second, then we'll need to figure out. We need to build in a counter every 30th of a second. So it's going to count 30. If it's updating the game 30 times a second, then you go count 1 through 30 times a second, and then on the 30th one, decrease the timer. Then count 30 more times, decrease the timer by 1. Count 30 more times, decrease the timer by 1. So on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll have to build a little count of what's called a for next loop. Basically say, for a given variable, start out with a timer of 30 or start at 0 and count up to 29. And then every time the game loop runs, subtract one value. And then when you hit 0, decrease the timer by 1. So on and so forth.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, and we can just set into where you can pick where that number starts, whether it starts at 90 or it doesn't ever start. And it's just, there isn't a timer.
Yeah, this is already so fun to zoom around. I want you to play with it.
I want to play with it so bad.
I think what I think you should do. I think it costs. I think it was $15 to download PICO-8,
Okay.
and so if you are inclined to spend $15, why don't you buy PICO-8 and get it installed?
Okay.
And and then I could send you the
Yeah, it
file.
would work on my laptop, so I could download it on my MacBook.
Yeah, should work fine on MacBook.
Right.
I think there's a Mac version for it. I think I saw so.
Okay, yeah. If I can download it on my MacBook, I definitely will. Yeah, that should be fine. I'll talk to Brandy about that.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll even get some controllers for it too. Yeah, this looks awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 108 by 96.
I'm checking the diagonal directions. Yeah, it's working fine on all both characters. Boom, boom, boom.
And they can't run through each other if they hit. I guess that'd be hard to run into each other diagonally, but they can't run into each other no matter what. They can't go through each other's space
like
anymore.
right now, if I try to do it, it just bumps me to the left.
Can we mess with Frieza's colors real quick?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I want to make him bright like Piccolo is.
Bright
Yeah, so
light.
those go that purple that's above the same purple as Piccolo, actually. Yeah, those ones should be that same purple.
Like
Yes. Yep. And his chest too, yeah. And then, oh yeah, that's right. And then the white instead, I think he's actually light gray right now. Yeah, he should be the white. It's like he's taking a bath.
There we go.
There we go. Oh yeah, there we go.
Better?
Yeah. Perfect.
Awesome,
oh my
huh?
goodness.
and you know, since I've been streaming this, we have this recorded for posterity now. So we made a lot of progress
Yes.
on this. I do hope, you know, even though
really
this was a long
So
stream,
cool. I love that it goes diagonal.
I hope that anyone else who watches this on YouTube is going to find this extremely valuable, because we went from having nothing to an idea to a couple of really cool characters zipping around the screen.
Yeah, look at him go.
But look how much code it took to get there. I mean, this is, you know, a non-trivial amount of code.
Yeah.
Just to get two characters moving around the streets.
A few pretty complicated problems already. It was
I
whoa.
I hope this gives you a new appreciation for how complicated your favorite games are to program.
Oh, for sure.
So let's save our work. Save, fight.
Yes.
Yes, overwrite.
Okay.
Boom. I do think it saves backups too, like it saves the last several save versions. So in case you forget to save or you make a mistake, I think it has a backup feature built in. I read, so I'll have to double check. But oh, we are getting there, and we have used 311 out of our 8,192 tokens. But I think
it doesn't seem bad at all.
It's not. I was a little worried about it, but now that I've fleshed this out a bit, I'm like, okay, this isn't too bad actually. And there's already room for
the characters are actually flying around, not hitting each other, not going off screen.
Mm-hmm. In fact, I'm gonna get a screenshot here.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just gonna get a screenshot of this. Boom. For my purpose of the YouTube thumbnail and of this too.
This is awesome.
And just save fight. I know I just did that, but yeah, we'll write it. Okay. It's so cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go get the PICO-8.
Is Brandy excited about our game endeavor?
She is. I keep every now and then going over there and showing her more pictures and things I've drawn.
Yeah, show her the stream. Show her the. And then download PICO-8 so you can actually try it. I could send you the file and share the file. With
yes, I will. I'm super excited to buzz these guys around, just fly around.
You know, it's funny. It's pretty responsive. It's not slow. It's very responsive and very fast.
It looks like
it behaves exactly like you think it would. It is not counterintuitive at all.
Yes. Oh my gosh, this is awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait to get.
I can't wait to being able to punch and do Kai blasts, even if they're not doing damage. Just to see that going out, it's going to be so cool looking.
This is by far the most complicated game I've made. So
you're doing great.
Well,
all this stuff is well over my head, but this is awesome.
I think what I've learned is, like, when in doubt, make a function for it. If you know you're going to need to do something, just take the time to go up to the top of the screen in the initialization, make a function for it, and then you can call that function whenever you need.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm so excited about this. It looks awesome.
It does. I'm really pleased with the way it looks so far.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the movement is fantastic.
But
Yeah. The
if you
fact
want
that
to
it
give it
goes
some,
diagonal too. Oh my
if you want
gosh.
to give it some, sex appeal with the background, but think in terms of color palettes. Like if you're going to have, purples and greens and bright colors, you want dark backgrounds that the players are going to stand out against.
Yeah,
So
in space.
yeah, exactly.
I'm thinking of doing some little stars in the background, and
So
you basically fight in space.
128 pixels across by 96 pixels down. Go ahead and draw some
Perfect.
backgrounds. The only thing that's going to be tough though is you want to keep it minimalistic, because if we're going to use a bunch of sprites for the players, we're going to need
Mm-hmm.
sprites for the backgrounds as well. So think in terms of repeatable backgrounds, things we could repeat rather than super complicated backgrounds. Think individual items you can drop in, like like star field, where can you drop in the stars, or how can you draw just something you can combine in terms of like tiles, as opposed to pixel
Okay.
by pixel by pixel, because otherwise we're going to run out of sprites.
I was thinking for the first background I was gonna make, I was just thinking of do like 3 or 4 different types of stars, like
Yeah,
drawings for stars. One of them would just be a single pixel, and
you could even
then
do
have
like,
a
yeah,
couple that are
you
like
could
maybe a
actually,
4-pointed and an 8-pointed star.
you could actually just have 3 different kinds of stars, and then rather than drawing them, you could randomize them. You could say, give me random x values and y values. Give me
Oh, cool.
three random XY coordinate values for one type of star, 3 random XY values for the other type of star, and just have it automatically randomize them every time the game is run.
Oh, that's even cooler. Yeah,
Yeah.
to not I was thinking just draw one out, but I was like, yeah, I didn't want it to look too repetitious. But yeah, if I could just design 3 star, have a basic star that it puts out like 100 of them, have a
Yeah.
pretty cool star that it puts out like 10 or 20, and then have one that it puts out like 3 of,
Right.
like
Exactly.
a bigger cool
And then
one,
and then you
and
could
then
just have it automatically
randomize it.
randomize it and place them. You don't even have to code it. Just give me
No way.
3 sets of random
Okay.
coordinates and plug them in and draw it.
Yeah, I might do like 4 or 5, but just to have like different colors for
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
single pixels. Like do like 3 single pixels, but are just different colors, like a gray, a white, and a
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe. Yeah, I'd have to look at the colors again. Maybe even like, yeah, maybe those are the only ones actually.
But just to keep in
But yeah,
mind that every one of those that we draw as a sprite, that's one less sprite we have for drawing characters.
okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
yeah, that's why
I'm glad
I might
you're
go down.
impressed with this.
Now. Oh yeah, this is going very well so
I
far.
thought I wasn't going to like these little characters. I thought I was going to like increasing the size, but I really like the feel of zooming around the screen. Like, it's so much fun.
Yeah,
It's
it
going to
looks
make it.
exactly like I was wanting it
It's
to.
going to make it feel fast paced. If you could increase the size of these, but
Exactly.
then you couldn't zoom around as much, and it wouldn't be as fun. Here we can really fly around the screen. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was like, I want a slightly larger screen. This is exactly perfect right now.
I'm actually
Yeah, now I'm
really.
excited to see their attacks because they're fast too. Especially like the Kai blast flying through the air is always really fun looking in these games because they're like an energy blast
I wasn't
that the
sure
characters would be ready.
about flipping the
So I'll need a
characters, like
pixel.
how I was going to make it work, but we figured it out. It's cool.
Yeah, you did it. Yeah, it's working exactly perfect. Yeah, you don't have to hold it or anything. You can just turn them around and they'll just stay facing that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and they can't run into each other.
Kai
Yeah,
blast projectiles. If it's a projectile, that's another thing altogether.
yeah, it's a projectile.
Well, because
Yeah, it's like
imagine the
attack.
problem you have
You
to
need
solve.
a right.
So while
Yeah,
if I'm here and I blast, and then if you were not standing there, say you're down here, then it doesn't register. But it's not a matter of where you are in relation to the player; it's where the projectile is in relation to the player. Like, do they
yeah, that
intersect at all?
projectile. The projectile would simply go out from you straight, and if that projectile hits the player, it would cause damage, but they would have to run into it or be in the way of it,
Right. And
and it
there's
would just go straight
also
until it hit the wall, and then it would just like have a little animation to blow up or whatever.
Yep. So one thing at a time.
Yeah.
But imagine the problems you have to solve. So you need to
Yeah.
create a projectile.
Yep.
Pull that sprite in. You need to. So you need to flag the sprite as active or inactive. Like, is it on or is it off? If it's on, then then you have to calculate its movement. So it needs to have a certain velocity and presumably
Yeah.
just to the right or left. Right. It's not going to blast upward.
Yep.
Right. Or maybe you could. I don't know.
Correct.
Um, Yeah, probably just left or right.
And then it's left
And
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 right.
it's moving, and then you have
And it just goes in its coordinate,
the
in its
nice
X
thing about
coordinate. It doesn't.
the grid approach is that it's very easy to calculate whether they've intersected because you just go boom if they've intersected.
Yeah,
Then
exactly.
so
If they intersect,
30 times a
gotcha.
second it'll go have they met, have they met, have they met, and they're in the same position.
Yeah.
And if they have, then boom. And then you got to think what happens, like a little animation happens, a different kind of sprite for the
Yep.
animation, or
Yep.
and it's hard because now
That's
you're
why
into
I'm
the
thinking of
detail, like
going
what are
down to
all the
just two
5 things that happen
characters.
every time there's a hit registered.
Yeah, I think we should definitely just go down to Goku and Frieza and just have two characters. That way we can get, I can be more expressive with the art side of, all the attacks and stuff. I can have fun there and we can design more attacks because there's just more things to figure out in coding. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that's more fun than having a bunch of characters. Because, well, I'm only saying that because of how many sprites all the different characters would have.
Yeah, we've got
Each character
128
is
total sprites to work with.
5
So
sprites. Yeah. And each character is 25 right now.
I
And
think
yeah,
constraints breed creativity, though. I think
they
constraints are
do.
generally a good thing. Look at how much we've got done because there are constraints.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I think I'll go down to Goku and Frieza and then be able to give them sprites for all of their different attacks and stuff instead of having extra characters,
Mm-hmm.
which will be great. And that'll make even more sense for it to be Goku's Legacy, Frieza's Fury, and it's just a
Right.
giant duke out between Goku and Frieza.
Well, I think
And if we can add another character, I will
let's
if they're
start
sprite.
small. So let's. I think what I want to do is probably actually are these aligned? Oh yeah, they're aligned, aren't they? Yeah, they're okay. Okay, they were misaligned or something. They're not. They're okay.
Mhm.
Let's start small. Let's get punching working. Let's get kicking working. Let's get
Yes,
and then
the
the
gauges.
more complicated the gauges, and then the more complicated because then we can play it right.
Yes,
and then
exactly.
and then go okay. We want to add Kai Blast. That's 5 more things to figure out that are more complicated than punching. So
Mhm.
so I think in terms of what to do next, we'll get the gauges working. Let's come up with a punching mechanic and figure out what happens when you punch. Maybe kicking as well because that's basically the same thing as punching, just a different sprite.
Yeah, I'm hoping to do like a 50-50 like coin flip basically, for it to be a punch or a kick with the same button, or it can just be a punch and we can just take out the kicking altogether.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe do a 50-50 on the sprite and maybe it's just like the same damage, but it either shows a punch or a kick animation.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but yeah, I was thinking it could be randomized like that. That way I could just have it in one button. So one button would be to punch and one button would be the Kai Blast, which would be the main 2 attacks. And then you have your energy attacks, your special attacks. Yeah, most of them are energy attacks, I guess.
Right. So the thing that's going to be weird about it, like, say I'm facing this direction, and I want to do an energy attack, and let's say it's, because we're going to run out of buttons, right? We only have 6 buttons. So if we
Yep.
go, say it's, up and B or something, like, how do I make sure that I don't move out of the way of the thing before that in doing it, I'm not actually moving the character at the same time as well.
Yeah, that's
Right.
one of the functions that I haven't comprehended yet on how to do that because it's a directional key.
Right.
But that is why I tried to make it to where it should be pretty much well, yeah, I couldn't do it all the way, but it was like
So I think we're going to
yeah, I
find that
tried to
this is
make it.
more complicated than we
Yeah.
think it's going to be as we start getting these multi-button combos to make because given
Oh, for
so
sure.
yeah. Well, I think we'll probably have to modify as we go. Otherwise,
Yeah, if we can do punches and Kai blasts, that's going to be the part that like, yeah, I'm going to be
well,
pretty
I'm
darn
optimistic about
stoked.
Kai Blast because if one button is to
Yeah,
punch / kick or whatever, then no problem. We just
yeah,
say these 2 characters next to each other, then you punch, you kick, no problem. If it's Kai Blast, say
yeah,
I'm over here and I hit the Kai Blast button and a little cool projectile comes out, kaboom. It's just a projectile. I track the projectile, and then if it hits you,
yep,
if the position of the 2 players intersect in any 1/30th of a second, then boom,
yep,
point
boom.
scored or
Yep.
health, whatever happens, right?
Yeah,
Whatever, yeah, no
exactly.
big deal. The gauges get adjusted in some way.
Yeah,
Anything that's more complicated than that, it's kind of like now what? What happens if you? I mean, you could do I mean, think about it. You got the direction buttons, but you also have the 2 action buttons, A and B, right? If you do 1, you punch/kick. If you do 2, you Kai Blast. What happens if you do both together? Who knows? I don't know. So there's at least 3 combinations just from that.
Oh, yeah, from and for those two, I had put for there to be a function, but you would have to have a certain amount of Kai energy for that function to be possible.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the time, if you pressed A and B together, nothing would happen. But if your Kai gauge was all the way full and you pressed them together, you would use your super attack.
Right. I like it.
But if we functioned it that way, or controlled it that way, or whatever, programmed it that way.
At this point, I'll be happy if we can get the 2 players punching each other and the gauges
Exactly. Same.
Even if you just have to duke it out and it's a kung fu game, you just sit here and duke each other out the whole time, you know.
Yeah, it's rooted in martial arts.
It's still cool.
Before Goku learned he could do all those energy attacks, he just did a lot of martial arts in Dragon Ball.
I think there's also a weird thing, I just want you to think outside the box a little bit. So suppose I'm facing this direction, then I punch. What if I'm next to it and I'm facing the other direction, like here, and I do something? Is there an elbow attack from behind? Is there, if you're below and you punch or kick, could it be a different kind of attack if you're below versus next to them? Think directionally too, because that gives you a lot more possibilities with the same number of buttons.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, normally, well, what I was thinking for this game and the way this would go is that those would be misses for the more retro feel. So you'd have to be
facing each
directly to their left or right and facing them. They don't have to be facing you. And in fact, if you punch them in the back, you could get more damage.
Yeah.
If we do that. Yeah, it could be a little bit more damage for a back hit than a front hit. But you would have to be facing them, and they would have to be in the square directly in front of you.
I think what I like about that is it adds complexity to the game without adding complexity to the number of buttons we need.
Yeah.
It adds
it makes it very direct. You need to get in their face. Yeah, hit them a few times, and I want to have a limiter to where you can't just catch them in a punch and punch them until their health drains. You can only punch a few times, and then you have to stop, or you're going to get exhausted, and then they get to start punching you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that we'll just do all the combo buttons at the very end once everything else, like the double taps might be next, so we can charge our Kai, so that we can charge up that Kai energy.
Yep.
After the single buttons are done.
Exactly. So,
but
what's hard is each one of those sounds complicated, and taken as a whole, it's really complicated. But if you go, let's just get punching working, let's get kicking working, let's figure out Kai blasts, which are a little more complicated, but not too complicated. And then we can go, okay, how the hell do we handle multi-taps, if it's possible? How the hell do we handle whatever? And at that point, it'll still be a fun game, even if we never did those. So
exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm super stoked. When do you want to get back on?
Oh, I don't know. I got an Uber drive tomorrow, and then maybe this weekend sometime. We're just having a weekend at home, so maybe sometime this weekend.
Okay.
Sunday.
Cool. Yeah, just let me know.
Yeah, maybe Sunday.
Yeah, that would work perfect for me.
Perfect. I'm so stoked.
Same. Yeah, this is super fun. It's turning out really well. Yeah, I will hopefully get PICO-8 probably today and sign up for Twitch, get my Twitch profile created.
I watch the first stream that I did where I was setting up PICO-8. The installation's a little counterintuitive. How to pay for it, how to download it, how to get set up, a little counterintuitive. So watch the stream on how I did it. It might be a little different on a Mac, but not too different probably. So there was definitely a learning curve in terms of getting it installed. So watch that stream in terms of how to get it installed.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and if I get stuck, I'll reach out to you and let you know.
Sounds good. We'll figure it out.
Perfect. Oh my gosh, yeah, it looks so good.
I'm actually really pleased. It's more fun to. I wasn't sure about how fast they would be moving, and it's awfully fun just to zip around the screen. It feels game-like. It's perfect.
Yes, this is what I wanted so much when I was a kid, but they always did those card games, and they would have the characters flying around and doing the attacks, but you couldn't control them. You had to play the cards, go punch them, and then a punch would go.
The sky's really the limit here. If you can dream it, we can probably approximate it here. So, for our first time out of the gate, this is not a bad. I've never made a fighting game, so this is definitely new to me.
Yeah, I've never made a game, but I've played Dragon Ball Z since I was like 6, so.
I mean, if this is kind of what you envisioned, then we're in the right ballpark.
Yeah. Oh, this is exactly what I was envisioning. This is crazy.
It's actually fun to watch them change directions. They were like, "This is fun." Woo.
It is. It's great. That's exactly what I'd be doing as a kid, and that's why I want levels with no time limit, so we can just sit there and like play around and look at how
Right.
cool the game is, more than have to just fight each other. Sometimes I like to just go in there
Yep,
and be
and so
like,
we'll
"Wow,
we'll
it's so
figure out the overall
fun."
game loops after. Like the main thing is getting these
Yeah,
fight mechanics down, and then you go, okay, how many in
exactly.
terms of how many rounds we're gonna have and whatnot. That's you can figure that out.
Yeah,
You need a round
I'm
counter or
excited to
something.
see these gauges get created next time and start
Yeah,
working on. I guess I can for the life counters. We don't have to do like the 1-star Dragon Ball. We could just do orange squares or something for
mm-hmm.
now. But if it's possible to do the little orange Dragon Balls, that would be pretty
Yeah,
dope.
I've got a couple ideas already. So I'm, the
Okay,
sketch you
cool.
sent over is very helpful. I just need to sit down and kind of map it out in terms of how many pixels there are to work with for the gauges. But I think
Perfect.
I think I got it. I have a vision.
Cool. I was also thinking that we could. Well, I guess I'll just do some more writing and stuff about the gauges and get it all together in my head again.
Mm-hmm.
Since I haven't really been thinking about it, I don't actually have my thoughts together right
Well,
now.
the sketch you sent over is very helpful because I kind of in picture. You know, I can't really show you the mouse here, I guess, but because there's no cursor here. But
Oh yeah.
on the on the top left, I like the way you align them on the left and then right align them on the right, so they kind of move from
Mhm.
inward to outward as they go down.
Yes.
That looks pretty cool. And
Yeah.
then the
And
counter in the middle, that looks cool. Very simple. I like it.
yes. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about doing. Well, I don't know if we can, but if we could do 150 health, 100 Kai, and then 50 transformation, I had some new ideas. But yeah, it would go
Yeah, and
even
what's
more in
weird is
that.
because you only have
Yeah.
so many pixels to work with. You know, probably what you'll do.
Okay.
I suspect that you can make a little engine that says, you know, 150 max equals this many pixels, and if you end up with a fractional value, like say you get knocked down by 10, that's only 140 now. In terms of how many pixels that translates to in terms of drawing like a bar graph, it'll automatically just round up or round down the fractional values, and it'll probably just work as expected. I suspect that it works that way. I don't know for sure. So
Okay.
I was just expecting something like, you know, here's you know, if you have 150 health, but your bar is only 30 pixels wide or whatever it is, then just do the math and then go, okay, that translates to 22.8 pixels, and it just rounds up to 23 pixels, and it's fine.
Okay. I had another question just while we're on the topic of gauges, real quick. In normal Dragon Ball Z games, your health, you'll have multiple health bars, but it's not like you have them separate. It's like you have a health bar and it'll be blue. And then as you lose your health bar, it'll get knocked down and be green. It'll like refill when your health goes all the way out and be green. And then whenever that health bar gets knocked out, it'll refill and be red normally. And then when that one gets knocked down, you die. And there are different things like transformations that'll charge health. Some characters like Piccolo normally has things that can charge his health and stuff.
What
There are
if it's
different
to keep it
characters.
simple? What if it's more like you have a health bar, and when it's up to a certain level, it's green, and then when it goes down to a certain level, it's yellow, and then when it gets down too far, it's red.
That is definitely something else I was thinking too. Is just
Simple,
to have
yeah.
that still represented. I was just thinking for longevity of the fight, for having less characters. I was thinking it could be fun to have more health so the fight can last longer.
Or what if there's a way? I mean, these are just things to think
But
about.
we
But
could do, you know,
is there like a recharge health mechanic in some way? Like what can you do to recharge your health, either by not getting hit or by actively doing something?
oh yeah, we could have that to where if you haven't been hit for a while, your
Your
health
health goes
starts
back up.
regaining.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, because right now it's when you transforming normally boosts your health, gives you a health, replenishes your health, I guess.
Right.
Is one mechanic. Yeah,
But
perfect.
let's just. But all we want to
Yeah,
do.
or maybe we can make it 300, and then every 100 it changes color,
I
and
think
then
it's
it's
going to
just
take
more health.
it's going to take longer to build the gauges than you might think. So I think that's for my next time
Yeah,
around. Just getting gauges on the screen is the next thing, and then even if I just plug in
I'll just write
arbitrary
down some
values to
ideas.
draw them, and then probably the time after that I'll
Yeah,
work on the fighting and updating the gauges accordingly.
yeah. The gauges definitely are one of the more confusing aspects for me. Well, for like whenever it comes to actually programming. how they function.
I don't think
It's
so
hard
because
to
you
wrap my
basically
head
set
around.
initial values. Your health starts out at 150 or whatever, and then you have a function
Yep.
that draws the gauge to the screen based on what the value is. And then as the
Okay.
game happens in the update function, you go okay. Just like we said, if you button press here, you move the character. You have other if then statements. If the players are here and you punch successfully, whatever that means, then do something, and you basically say lower the health from 150 to 140 or whatever it is, and then when the gauge is redrawn 30 times a second, it just draws the new version of the gauge with the new values, and the gauge gets updated 30 times a second.
Okay. So whenever it comes to the imagery for the gauges, is that something that I draw out like it's on the main map? So it'd be like 128 by 32 pixels? Or do I draw a sprite for each of the different
No,
bars?
I don't think so. I think
What if-
I think we're just gonna go. I envision just like super minimalist, like have some labels: health, chi, transformation, or whatever it is, transformation, and then rounds or victories. I don't know. It doesn't matter. And then a little bar graph, just like you drew in your drawing. A little bar next to those labels on the left and on the right for each player. And then the bar just changes length and maybe changes color depending on what its value is. And then that's all. And then a counter in the middle.
Okay, so I wouldn't need to do like draw up imagery for the bars.
I
It'll
don't
just
think
basically
so.
be like
I think they're so
pixels.
simple and minimalist. I'm just going to do it with pixels. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Maybe 2 pixels or 3 pixels wide, vertically by however many pixels horizontally.
Cool.
And then I suspect that it's just a matter of doing the math. Like, go, okay, you've got 150 value for life, and that gets knocked down by 10, so it's now 140, and that's over 30 pixels. So, 100 and, basically take 140 divided by 150 equals however many pixels over 30 pixels, and then draw that many pixels.
Okay.
And it'll create a little bar.
This is gonna be so cool.
It will, yeah. So, but I'll be thinking about how to draw those bars next time. But I think that's going to take a little more time than anything
Yeah.
we've done today, actually. So,
Cool. All right. Well, yeah, I'll be there for it.
sounds good. Well, I'm going to go help with dinner here as much as I can and end the stream. And I think we made a lot of progress today. So, very awesome.
Perfect. Same. Yes, I'll share the screen with Brandy and go get some food myself.
I'm just going to save the full fight
And,
game here. There we go.
probably start downloading PICO-8.
Yeah,
I want to play
we're
with
off to
it
the
now.
races.
Yeah, I want to play it now.
All right, let me know when you got PICO-8 installed, and I'll send you the file.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Of course, this is awesome. I'm just pleased with the way it's coming together. So,
Same. Yeah, that's super fun.
I will talk to you
Yeah,
in
it looks
a day or
amazing.
two at most. I'll let you know if I'm gonna jump back on this weekend too. So probably Saturday or Sunday. Maybe probably Sunday if I had to guess.
Okay,
Maybe
perfect.
Saturday.
I'll keep an eye out.
Sounds good. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye, Dylan.
Bye.